What? 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 Why can't you? 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 Well, I did this. Why can't you?
Hey, welcome to the Bin Podcast. Welcome to Headliners. I'm Tim. Mikey will be here soon. He'll catch up. But I have somewhat limited time, so I wanted to get this thing going. So we're going to get it going. Before we get to the show, everyone, please remember to like and subscribe. Where is the button? Here it is. Like and subscribe. Become a member on YouTube for bonus special things like emotes, like the pet emotes of all of our pets. They're there. You just got to be a member. Also, if you have a opposition to giving YouTube money, support us on Patreon, patreon.com/thebinpodcast, where you can also get the things and videos and so much more. But this is just a way to support the show if you want to, if you have the cash. If you don't, it's cool. Just like and subscribe. Also, another way to support the show if you have the cash. The Bin Podcast has merch. Now, yesterday McKinnon posted of new merch, Binzilla. But it wasn't copyright compliant. So it's, if anyone bought, I saw someone buy one of the Binzilla shirts, and now you have a one of a kind, I think. So if anyone got that, congratulations. Anyway, we have all this other fun merch though, like Tim's hat. You can get a Tim's hat, or a fuck the hell off t-shirt, or whatever. All this comes in various shapes and sizes, stickers, shorts, fanny packs, all of it. Bam. There you go. Bin merch. Also, it's all on sale right now. 35% off store wide. I think TeePublic does this just like once a week or twice a month or whatever. So if you want to buy bin merch on the cheap, just wait for the next time it goes on sale, because it's constantly on sale. So there you go. Billy. Billy says, "Oh, it was McKinnon's fault, Manager Tim." So I just want to let you guys know, we gave McKinnon free reign to do whatever he wanted for the design. So we just have to say, hey, that's not copyright compliant every once in a while. You can get a fuck the hell off hoodie on the site. I believe it comes in hoodie. I would say the t-shirts, get the size that you know that fits you, and if you wanted like a hoodie, get one size up. That's I think that's what we've learned. I want to do all of the things. Here we go. But it does come in like an array of, here we go, the hoodie. Bam. But do get one size up, because their hoodies are a little bit on the small side. But right now it's only $34. Only $34 for the fuck the hell off hoodie. Anyway, that's enough merch. And if you want to get it, TeePublic, the bin podcast, I'll put the link. This will be for the fuck the hell off hoodie. There, the link's in the chat. You can also scan the QR code right here and view the whole store. So that is the sales pitch today. But we're going to get right into it, because Pete Hegseth, ooh boy, he's in front of the Senate today, and this is all going to be live and with sound.
Senator. Well, thank you, Senator. Unlike our adversaries, unlike radical Islamists, unlike those that target civilians or use civilians as shields, the United States military never targets civilians and puts constructs in place to ensure that the maximum extent possible, we do not harm or hit civilians.
Let's tell McKinnon about that one.
Is war a difficult place with a lot of complexities? Absolutely right. But no country does more and no department does more than our department.
Do you still have all of the resources necessary to assure that every opportunity to eliminate that as a threat in terms of that happening? Do we still have the resources available in the department to make sure that we do the best we can never to hit a civilian target?
Every resource necessary at every echelon is available, legal, intel, and otherwise, to ensure that we minimize at every extent possible civilian casualties. And the suggestion was made that somehow AI might be used without a human in the loop, which is a classic anthropic talking point, which is half of what we talked about previously. There is a human in the loop on decisions that are made. And the suggestion otherwise is to suggest that somehow AI is running targeting.
Thank you. Right now, part of what we're also talking about is not just are we engaged right now.
Oh, wait, I forgot to say hi to all the people. I can do that. Hold on. Because, yes, I can open the chat in its own window. Did I? Yes, there we go. Okay. All right. Two things can be done at once now. Haha. First,
It's Charlie Angus here from Midas Canada, the Resistance Tour, and I watch the Bin Podcast Network. You got to watch it. Sign up, follow them.
thanks, Charlie Angus. Let's see. We'll go with, let's see, Adams.
No fucking way.
Indie Duck.
It can only good happen.
Person Impersonator.
You only knew how ridiculous that statement is, you wouldn't have said it.
The Bin Podcast.
Tide goes in, tide goes out. You can't explain that.
Gina.
This is sick shit.
I think that's everyone. Okay. Now back to the stream. Yeah, we did a little... Yeah, we got a little Charlie Angus endorsement here that I can just hit anytime I want. It's like a little mini ad. I can just go...
It's Charlie Angus here from Midas Canada, the Resistance Tour, and I watch the Bin Podcast Network. You got to watch it. Sign up, follow them.
So yeah, that's a little instant promo for the show. So it's not a 2-day hearing. Yesterday he was in front of the House, I believe it was like the House Military Committee or whatever they call themselves, Armed Services Committee. And today is the Senate Armed Services Committee. These are budget hearings, or they're supposed to be budget hearings. Oh, a real ad. Yeah, no, that happens sometimes. Oh, if you're getting ads, let us know what your ads are. We want to know, because sometimes they're hilarious and like really opposite of our topics.
In terms of trying to eliminate the threat from Iran, in terms of being a nuclear armed country, but we've also got staring with us as well the fact that we have an ongoing principal threat with regard to a pacing threat with China. The dual capable B-21 Raider will be a critical part of both our conventional and our nuclear deterrence against China and Russia. As you know, the Air Force's program of record includes plans to procure 100 B-21s, but many national security experts and leaders, including STRATCOM Commander Admiral Corral and INDOPACOM Commander Admiral Paparo, are calling for a greater number of B-21s. Admiral Paparo testified here last week that he would favor...
And yesterday, when we were showing clips, we were only showing, I think, Democrats. But the live hearing is going to alternate between Democrat and Republican.
Buying 200 B-21s.
So some people are going to kiss his ass. Some people are going to tear him a new one, essentially.
Secretary Hegseth and Chairman Kane, could you speak to the progress and the importance of the B-21 program? And if you agree with the growing sentiment that the U.S. needs to revisit the B-21 program of record and assess the requirement for at least 200 B-21s to match the global threat, would you speak just to exactly what that would mean and what the probability of that is?
Thank you for the question, and I appreciate the fact that you're listening to and hearing from combatant commanders, because that's who we listen to as well, who are looking at the operational plans and what would be required to ensure we deter and, if necessary, defeat. Assets like the B-21 or the F-47 are critical to that.
Indeed.
That's why we're funding them and increasing the funding, and where necessary would increase the allocation. And I think you see a budget that reflects the reality that we have to invest in more capabilities, to include the B-21, which is ahead of schedule. And we will be funding to the tune of $6 billion, and we believe will require a lot more, over 100 in the future. But I'll defer to the chairman.
Hey, sir. Thank you for the question. Working through the J-Rock and the vice chiefs, I'll absolutely stack hands around assessing the requirement.
So Indie Duck, we have two streams. We have the regular stream and there's a vertical stream. So if you go on the channel and you click on whatever the live is, it'll show that there are two streams simultaneous. And one, the regular stream where it's like, the regular format, we're in like a rectangle. That one is usually where the sane, rational people go. And the vertical stream where people can just, swipe on their phones or whatever, that is where all the crazies and trolls usually end up. So that's what's going on there.
And we're glad to see B-21 on the flight path, no pun intended, that it's on through operational testing. On the specific numbers, the one sort of big picture strategic thing I want to say is we want to make sure, as we think through what does air power of the future look like based on the evolving threat, that we're staying well in front of it. And so that's the only thing we'll look at in the assessment. But I'm on board with assessing the numbers. I want to make sure we're buying ahead of the technology development curve so that we give all those young warfighters out there the capabilities that we need well into the future.
Is there any question at all that we're going to need more than 100 B-21s?
I want to go back. Here's how I'll look at it, Senator. I want to go back and look at the O plans right now that we have to make sure that we allocate those numbers. So I don't believe so, but I do want to take the due diligence time, if you'll allow me to look at that, Senator.
Good. I appreciate the opportunity to visit with you and to clarify
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
what that number should look like in the near future.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Senator Brown. Senator Blumenthal.
Ooh.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Senator Blumenthal is one of my senators. Let's hear what this old man has to say.
Chairman, thank you for being here today. I want to talk about the costs of war.
Dead City, what's going on?
The costs of war include caring for our veterans.
I apologize for how slow this man is going to speak. I don't think I can speed him up because maybe we're not in real time. Haha, he's a little faster.
An estimate from Mr. Hurst yesterday that the cost to date in dollars for this war has been $25 billion, which I believe is well below the actual cost based on everything that I've heard, everything available to us in various kinds of settings. And I'm going to ask for a more accurate assessment. But we also know that about 400 service members have been wounded as a result of this war. When they retire, when they come home, their retirement pay will be docked dollar for dollar for every disability benefit dollar they receive. Secretary Hegseth, I'd like your commitment that you will support the Major Richard Starr Act that will eliminate this wounded warrior tax. I'm sure you're familiar with it. Tens of thousands of servicemen and women now are reduced in their retirement pay literally for every dollar of disability benefits they receive.
Well, I appreciate your focus on this issue, and I will tell you you mentioned roughly 400.
Listening to someone speak in regular speed who already speaks in regular speed is crazy.
That have been injured. Thankfully, over 90% are returned to duty. But that doesn't mean they wouldn't have a residual challenge. And we're tracking that at point of injury to ensure that that is noted, even though they're returned to duty.
But what I'd like is your commitment that you will support the Major Richard Starr
As I have said in the past to other organizations, we support the Richard Starr Act.
Thank you. On the issue of cost, Mr. Hurst, does that $25 billion estimate include all of the costs in terms of damage to our bases, the need to replace planes and munitions, and the costs of injuries to our servicemen and women?
Senator, so for the Milcon facilities replacement cost, that's probably the hardest thing to estimate right now because we don't know what our future posture is going to be or the future construction of those bases.
Well, you owe it to us. You're here to ask for appropriations. And I would like a more accurate estimate of what has been done that will require replacement and renovation, as well as the other costs. And I think 25 billion is probably less than half, maybe less than a quarter of the total cost of war, which is the reason why the supplemental request is much higher. So I think you owe it to the American people to give us the straight talk about what the costs have been. Mr. Secretary, I know you have characterized this war as a astonishing military success, to use your words yesterday. But the American people aren't buying it. And I know you feel the American people are seeing through the abstruse stuff that is thrown at them, but one point is irrefutable, which is America never succeeds in war unless the American people are behind it. And if what you're seeing as success now is winning, I would hate to see what losing looks like, because none of the shifting and contradictory objectives of the war so far have been achieved. Likewise, let me ask you, yesterday, the president said that Ukraine has been, quote, militarily defeated. I assume you don't agree with that assessment.
The negative nature in which you characterize the incredible and historic effort in Iran is part of the reason, Senator, why the American people view it the way they do. It's why I looked out at our press corps at the Pentagon and called them the Pharisees in the press. It's because they look for every problem.
Well, I'm asking you about
look for every problem that exists,
Ukraine
and you
has been
miss
militarily defeated.
You missed the
I would
plank.
submit, based on my 9 trips to Ukraine, that is a false narrative that the president's
We are
buying
2
from
months
Vladimir
into a
Putin. I
historic
hope that
military success in Iran, and
will
you want to call it a
dispute it,
defeat. And it's
because
defeatist Democrats
it
like
is
you
the
that
people
cloud
of
the mind of the
Ukraine
American
who are
people
fighting
and
for their
would otherwise
survival,
fully support
fight no
preventing
help
Iran from having a
the
nuclear weapon.
Administration, and they are bravely fighting our fight. And that is the reason that I'm pursuing the Russian sanctions bill, which is bipartisan, along with Senator Graham, and why I hope we will recognize our obligation to release that $400 million.
Thank you.
We've appropriated.
Thank you, Senator Blumenthal.
All right,
Senator
we'll go back
Ernst.
to a regular speed now.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, gentlemen, for being
Senator
here
Blumenthal is a
today.
slow
I
talker.
really do appreciate your time to be with us. Before I begin some of my questions, I do want to start with something personal, and both to you, Secretary Hegseth, and to
This lady's not making it through her election.
the chairman. I want to thank you both for the time that you take to recognize our fallen and those that have given, of course, during this administration, given their all. You have traveled to Dover and have been there to greet those families and to welcome home the fallen. I've been there with you, and Iowa has been hit in particular very hard. We lost 2 of our Iowa National Guardsmen from the 2nd Brigade Combat Team, 34th Infantry Division. Secretary Hegseth, you know.
Yo, these Senate and House microphones need pop filters. They just do. You hear all the P's and the S's.
Full well the 34th.
There's
But we also lost 6 members from the 103rd Sustainment Command Expeditionary based out of Des Moines, Iowa during this current conflict. And again, your presence there meant a lot to the families. It also meant a lot to me. So thank you very much for taking the time to do that. Secretary Hegseth, you and I have had many discussions over the course of many months now regarding general officer positions. And, you know, I believe that we were operating in good faith as we talked through a couple of those in particular, 2 Iowans, General Mingus and General Randy George. I was disappointed to see that their retirements were hastened over what I believed had been set out by you and the administration. So I just want to take the time to list out some of General Randy George's accomplishments as Army Chief of Staff. He pulled the Army out of its worst recruiting crisis since the Vietnam era, exceeding fiscal year 2024 recruiting goals and welcoming more than 61,000 new soldiers. Recruitment numbers that both you and the president talk a lot about, and rightfully so. He cut 5% of general officer positions, 12 positions that were deemed as non-essential in the Army, and he reduced the Army headquarters by 1,000 personnel. He co-authored the Army Transformation Initiative, which is a comprehensive response aligned with your directives. And he testified here in front of Congress and took a lot of heat defending.
You might want to direct that question to the president. He's the only one that can answer that one. Probably because Trump is a Russian asset.
That Army transformation. He was suddenly let go at the beginning of April 2026. General George's merits, which I firmly believe in, he enlisted at the age of 17. He is a West Point graduate. He had 4 combat deployments. He served in Desert Storm, Iraq, and Afghanistan. He had 38 years of honorable service. He achieved the greatest Army recruitment and modernization effort in a generation. So I want to thank him for his service. And I would like to enter into the record, Mr. Chair, the speeches that I did honoring General Randy A. George on his retirement and General James J. Mingus on his retirement as
Without
well.
objection, they'll be admitted.
Thank you very much. I'd like to talk a little bit about the audit, Mr. Secretary. I saw
Unfortunately, since this is live, it's not going to be as high impact as the clip. So you'll bear with me a little bit.
the video
We got to get through, I don't know, 5 minutes of everyone speaking. Sometimes it'll be spicy.
that you posted this week calling on the department to pass a clean audit. And thank you for doing that. It's something that we talked about during your confirmation hearing. Fiscal responsibility at the department has been a priority of mine for a very long time. And I think it's time that we build on that momentum. It's extremely important. And that's why I'm pushing for my Receipts Act in this year's NDAA. It's focused on improving financial traceability and accountability across the department. And if you could talk a little bit more about the efforts in making sure that we are being much more accountable to our taxpayers. What is that effort going?
Man, I don't remember the last time the Pentagon passed an audit. I'll have to look it up while she's talking, but it's been quite some time since they actually had their shit together. And this is not just Pete Hegseth. This is Pentagon's going back, I think, all the way to Barack Obama. But the Pentagon and the $1 trillion that it gets every year, there's zero accountability for the money they spend and where they spend it. And anytime that you're supposed to have an audit every year as a government agency. And anytime they've had an audit, they've never fucking finished it. They've never been able to complete it. And people are like, oh, we don't know where the money went. $23 million went to nothing. This is all the time. This is happening for like 20 years now.
To entail, when will we see a clean audit?
As I said, Senator, thank you for your work.
When will we see a clean audit is a good question from any senator.
On the audit, that has been a priority of our department from day one. And we put in place goals.
Chrissy with the info. The Pentagon has failed every single audit since mandatory audits were introduced in 2018. So this was introduced under the Trump administration. But I would argue that even when audits were not mandatory, I think 2008 was the last time they actually had a clean audit, and that was under George W. Bush. So it's been a while, and the Pentagon has always failed at being accountable for the money that it spends. If you want to talk about waste, fraud, and abuse, it's the Pentagon. It's the $1 trillion they get. I mean, it wasn't $1 trillion, the whole time. It was $750 billion, but still, their budget is so massive. Their organization is so massive. Their bureaucracy is so massive that one hand doesn't know what the other is doing half the time. There's no way that they can even try and be accountable with the amount of waste they have in that department.
Benchmarks to get to FY28, get to 28 for a clean audit. The Joint Task Force audit, which we announced, was a reflection of even more capabilities.
He can't even say, oh, there'll be a clean audit this year, or oh, there'll be a clean audit next year. He said, let's get to fiscal year 2028, which starts June of next year. So they don't even have the ability to be accountable for the next 18 months worth of spending. It's ridiculous for a government agency to say that.
We want to push forward and centralize authority to make sure it happens. Jay's been involved from the beginning. We also have a new IG who the new IG's focus, one of his focus points is precisely this, and he's prepared to work with us to ensure we reach it. So I think at every level and through this budget, it's a focus.
Okay, thank you. We look forward to seeing a clean audit. Thank you, Mr.
Thank
Chair.
you, Senator Ernst. Senator Hirono.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Good question by Senator Ernst. However, terrible follow-up. No, hey guys, when are you gonna fucking actually do it? I know you say 2028, but why not now? Just thank you for your, like, come on.
Before I begin my questions, I'd like to take a moment to highlight the true costs of this war, both for the military and everyday Americans. And the true cost of the president's illegal war with Iran. And since the start of the war, 14 brave U.S. service members have been killed and more than 400 have been wounded. We've burned through over $25 billion in taxpayer money with no end in sight. And the fiscal year 27 budget request is a massive 40.
Oh man, I was so wrong. I was so wrong. All right, so I found an NPR report about the Pentagon apparently never having passed an audit, which is really essential to government agencies. But when the Pentagon launched its first independent financial audit back in 2017, backers of accountability welcomed it as a major step, a department with a track record of financial boondoggles. Now lawmakers are introducing the bill that Chrissy told us about, that they have to undergo a clean audit. Let's see. The Pentagon blames some of the delay on its massive size, but they should also be just doing this shit. Critics note that all federal agencies, including the Pentagon, have been under the same requirement to undergo independent financial audits since the early 90s. The other federal department has satisfied audit requirements since, other federal departments have satisfied federal requirements since 2013, when the Homeland Security Department had its first clean audit. After 30 years to get ready, pass the bill, let's see. Another big issue is that the Pentagon hasn't been able to say how many contractors and subcontractors it employs. See, this is the fucking problem here, man. The Pentagon is so massive, there's no accountability. So if they've never passed an audit, how do we expect that to give them more money if they can't be accountable for the money they get? It's insane. And just saying, oh, well, we're just going to increase the budget by $500 billion and that'll be fine. How much money are they going to waste when we give them $1.5 trillion? It's insane.
42% increase from last year. Hundreds of critical munitions have been expended and deployments have been extended, directly impacting service members' quality of life, military readiness, and our ability to deter our adversaries. The relationships with our allies, some of our closest allies and partners, have been fractured. And the closure of the Strait of Hormuz, which somehow caught the president by surprise, even though he had to have been warned, is directly contributing to the affordable crisis that Americans are facing. Energy costs are skyrocketing, with the price of gas now at its highest level in almost 4 years. Instability has driven interest rates to its highest level since September of last year.
You crazy bastards.
The cost of fertilizer is spiking, which will have a direct impact on the cost of food. This illegal war is driving up costs, undermining readiness, and alienating our allies.
Chrissy asks, I wonder if the fact that Pentagon is the biggest user of private contractors has anything to do with them failing every single audit. Probably, if they can't keep track of how many contractors and subcontractors they have, it's probably a big part of it. And when they created Doge and all that way back at the beginning of the administration, if they had looked into the Pentagon, I'm sure they would have found, oh man, billions and billions of dollars that we could have saved through waste, fraud, and abuse. Because, contractors and subcontractors will, commit those not crimes, but they will do those things. They will try and get as much money as they can, and build things as cheap as possible, and farm out stuff to other people. Like, I'm sure Northrop Grumman and fucking what's the company that owns Palantir and all these other fucking places are taking everything they can get, and there's no oversight over it. It's ridiculous.
With neither a clear rationale for starting this war
Oh, Lockheed Martin. I was thinking of Lockheed Martin.
nor an exit strategy. And when the president was asked how long he'll let this war continue, he said, "Do not rush me." I have a question for General Kane relating to women serving in combat, and I'd like to hear your best military advice. Does the mere fact of women being in combat armed units lower standards or readiness if they meet the physical standards?
Well, ma'am, the standards are set by the civilians. We have examples of women leading well across the joint force. I'll highlight some of our current commanders engaged in the fight in Epic Fury. Specifically, one of our bomb squadrons are led by a extraordinary female leader who's doing great work. And but those standards are set by. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to step on you.
I think your answer is that in fact it does not lower standards of readiness. Second question: should every service member, regardless of gender, be permitted to serve in any role, including the combat arms, if they meet the standards established? Yes or no?
Is that to me, ma'am?
Over the last decade.
A bit of breaking news on a story we covered yesterday. Louisiana postpones primaries that rushes to redraw districts after a Supreme Court ruling. Shocking that they want to fucking gerrymander harder after the Supreme Court said that they could do it on racial lines. Shocking that I'm sure a bunch of states are going to fucking do that now. Now that the Supreme Court has really gutted what's left of the Civil Rights Act and the Voting Rights Act. It's ridiculous.
Okay, since combat arms have been open to women, have you personally seen any instance where the standard resulted in a degradation in combat effectiveness?
Apologies, I didn't hear your first question. The people policies are all set by the civilian leaders in the government. Could you repeat the question again? I'm sorry, ma'am.
Over the last decade, since combat arms have been open to women, have you personally seen any instance where the standard resulted in a degradation in combat effectiveness?
Again, I'll highlight that the standards are set by our...
A Dutch flooring company? What kind of ads are they showing on this show? What is YouTube doing? We have nothing to do with Dutch flooring companies. Is that our demo? People who like flooring? God.
Civilian leaders, women continue to perform well across a range of MOSs and jobs and AFSCs that are out there.
No. I do need to get to a question for Secretary Hegseth. Prior to your nomination hearing, you said women shouldn't serve in combat armed units. At your confirmation hearing, you reversed course and, and you basically said as long as the women meet the standards, they should be able to serve. But recently, you ordered a review of the effectiveness of women in combat roles. And I am concerned you are laying the groundwork to reverse the policy allowing women to serve in these units, because right now, current law, if you want to change this policy, current law requires you to submit a report to Congress justifying such a change. So did you order the review to support a potential decision to overturn the policy of having women in combat roles?
We are laser focused on standards. The highest male standard for every combat arms position should be the standard. And 10 years into this, we are reviewing it, which is what the
Wow.
American people would expect. Also, there's nothing illegal about a war that defends the American people and prevents Iran from having.
I mean, they didn't ask for any sort of authorization or really tell anyone what was going on, except for like a few people in Congress who they called and got on the phone. They just kind of fucking did it. And they're abusing presidential powers to do military action and not call it war. So it is an illegal war.
Nuclear bomb.
Hegseth, you didn't answer the question because the reason that you're asking for this review, I think, has to do with your earlier position that you don't think women should serve in combat roles. So now we have this study, and I'd like to ask you, will you,
Senator,
will you
we'll
reveal the study to the public, to the American people? Will you make the study public?
will you make that study?
Yes or no?
We're doing the study for that very reason, to ensure that
the
real
study
science
public.
is applied to this question and not
we
social
appreciate-
engineering like the previous
We
administration.
appreciate your assurance that that will be made public.
What Pete Hegseth is doing is also social engineering. Just putting that out there, Pete. You're also doing social engineering.
Yeah, I think it's really
Thank
critical
you.
that this study be made.
Thank you, ma'am.
revealed to the
Senator
public.
Scott.
Thank you.
Well, first, thank each of you for being here. Secretary Hegseth, can you talk about, you've had the job for a little bit.
Oh, it's Rick
what are you most
Scott.
proud of?
Hey, everyone, it's Rick
What are your biggest
Scott.
challenges?
Well, I appreciate the question. And
What's up,
what I'm
Lee?
most proud of is the
Making
incredible
red.
men and women who serve in our nations in uniform, and what they are capable of when they're given a clear mission and unleashed to do it. And I think the best reflection of the success of President Trump and this War Department is the historic recruiting success and the historic morale amongst our ranks.
I've been keeping abreast of the chat going on here, but Dirty Money makes a good point. Nothing wrong with women in the military. Ask any trooper in Afghanistan what they thought when an all-female medevac showed up in a helo. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with women in the military and women serving in combat roles.
I would encourage every member of this committee, Democrat or Republican, go into the formations. Go into the Air Force formations, the Army formations, the Marine Corps formations, and talk to corporals, talk to sergeants, talk to lieutenants, talk to captains, talk to colonels. And what you will find are men and women more inspired to serve in the military than they have been in a generation. And you see that in the young Americans who are rushing to recruiting stations at historic numbers, 30-year highs across the force. We're hitting our recruiting numbers halfway through the year. Why is that? Because the American people look at what we're doing at the War Department by getting back to basics, and they're attracted to that. Same with our retention rates, which are now merit-based. Our best sergeants, our best leaders are staying. That's exactly what we want. So we've made changes to change the environment. The renaming of the department to the War Department is not just a name. In fact, it's restoring it to the original name of the department set by George Washington.
Well, it's not actually been renamed, Pete. You just fucking kind of did that. The president did an executive order, which kind of doesn't count. It's still the Defense Department. Congress has to change the name, and they haven't. How silly of you.
But it's an ethos as well. That warrior ethos lives inside the heart of each one of these men and women, and we're unleashing it. I'm proud of you name it, the border, the missions. Yes, those are all incredible demonstrations of that, but it's the people and the urgency of Americans to want to be a part of it that is the best affirmation, Senator.
Thank you. So we've talked about the importance of not relying on Chinese drugs for our military. Can you just talk about what you're doing to make sure that we don't continue to rely on China for anything, including our drugs?
Oh, drugs.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We can't be dependent on China on anything that's critical to our supply chain, even if it's the national industrial base and not just the defense industrial base. And you've been a leader on that. This committee's been a leader on that. Onshoring, bringing manufacturing here, bringing critical capabilities here is central to the interagency and the NSC, but also our department. If any critical weapon system is reliant upon something China could change at a moment's notice, then we have a true challenge to our ability to produce for the American people. And so we're finding all of those, changing them, onshoring it, reviving the the defense industrial base allows us to ensure we're separated from China on anything that's critical.
Thank you. Can you talk about the importance of foreign military sales to our allies and our partners, and what you're doing to make sure that whether it's what you're doing right now in Iran or any potential conflict?
Oh, a little fact here. Fact check. We got our expert fact checker, Chris C. There we go. Now you can see me. While Hegseth is correct that all branches of the U.S. military are seeing rebounds in recruiting numbers, this is down to increased incentives, lower standards, and expanded eligibility. Yeah, and they also expanded the eligibility of people who can be brought up in a draft in the selective service. So, yes, they reduced their standards because they weren't meeting recruitment numbers, and they're like, well, let's just make it easier to accept people, you know. So they lowered the standards and expanded eligibility, and now the recruiting numbers are back up. Who would have thunk?
Conflict in Asia, our partners have the best assets to be able to be a great partner?
Absolutely. Foreign military sales has been a huge problem for a long time because the department didn't prioritize it and organize to deliver efficiently on it. So we're working with the State Department. We've changed the way we do business internally. The executive order, the America First Arms Strategy, prioritizes what we sell and to whom, a catalog approach. But it took us, this committee would be astonished to know how long it took us just to get our arms around who we're selling to what and by what processes, which means there was no strategy behind ensuring we're sending the proper demand signal to industry and delivering those systems on time and under budget to those countries, which you can imagine is frustrating to partners who are relying on those to be able to step up and burden share. So foreign military sales is critical to our own defense industrial base. More customers for our companies that employ more American workers to ensure our allies are properly armed for the fights and they can stand alongside us. So FMS is a big one for us, Senator.
General Kane, I just want to commend you and everybody in the military for what you did in Venezuela, and then what you've done in Iran.
Rick Scott, you ass kisser. Hey, we got 10 new members of the BIN podcast. Thanks to Viper Scott. Hold on, let me bring up the stream and I will find out who it is. Who is it? Here we go. They're coming through right now. We got. Hold on. I can dual screen this. I can dual screen this with the buttons. Bam. There we go. Okay. Indy Duck.
He's a real stiff.
Liam Fairhurst.
My time. You
Congress,
don't get to talk.
lumber is at a
Reclaiming my
5-year
time.
low, Congresswoman.
Reclaiming my time.
Let's just have.
Kenneth Adams.
Over spilt meek.
Oh, that's the chat's going too fast now. Ghost Punch.
Tell me about it. So
Tamara
Girls
Chance.
are fighting, aren't they?
Cat.
I've never had my flabbers so gasted.
This one is LB Things Stuff More. It's a crazy name.
These were the free speech advocates.
Duke and Darcy.
What in the hell?
Ann Phillips. And J-Mart.
Because you are making the president look bad.
Welcome to our newest members of the BIN podcast. You can thank Viper Scott for your month membership. You can also get out there and renew those memberships if you want. Also, like and subscribe. Become a member. Do all those things. Buy the merch. Scan the QR code. Back to the show.
The willingness of the American military to fight and win, do you think it's changing the calculus for Beijing and Moscow?
Well, Senator, I know they're watching. And I'm incredibly proud of the joint force and their ability to integrate and synchronize a range of activities. And I suspect that my counterpart in China is watching very closely and envious of what our joint force is capable of doing if ordered to do so.
Well, thank each of you and thank everybody that serves under you.
Thank you, Senator Scott. Senator Kane.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Hurst, I want you to just confirm something for me about the president's submitted budget. $1.5 trillion is about a 40+% increase from FY26. Am I right that not a penny of that is to go to
Oh, it's Tim Kaine.
a pay raise for the 800,000 civilians who work for the Department of Defense?
We have 4.2% of a civilian salary set aside for bonuses to make sure we can recognize high performers in the civilian workforce.
But
in
you
our
have
department.
guaranteed pay raises for the active duty and the Guard and Reserve component, but no guaranteed raises for
There are
civilians.
guaranteed
Is that
raises for the
correct?
military, but in the last year, this department's given out more civilian bonuses.
Well, if we're going to increase the defense budget by that much, I would hope the committee would take a look at this. Chairman Kane, man, I like the sound of that, Chairman Kane. General Kane, I want to ask you a question about Southern Spear. It's an operational question. I know from your background that you carefully act to keep military actions within the rules of war. What legal justification could there possibly be that would allow the U.S. military to strike boats in international waters and kill the occupants of those boats without a showing of evidence that there's narcotics on those boats?
Well, sir, as you know, our job is to show the
Am I buffering? Let me know if I'm buffering. I was having internet issues yesterday.
range of options, the associated risks, and then take those execution orders, transmit them down to the COCOMs on legally appropriate and legally backstopped actions.
Could you give me a legal justification?
Well, sir, the execution order, I don't have
striking boats that do not have evidence that they're carrying narcotics?
I apologize, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I don't have a copy of the order issued to Southcom with me today. It's classified in its own
No,
right,
not
which
buff.
clearly articulates, based on a variety of criteria, what constitutes a valid military and legally valid target in that theater. And I know, I just want to say, I know and trust that our commanders at Echelon are rigorously following that legal opinion and those legal.
Everybody's a mod here because we're all friends. Join us. Like, subscribe, become a member. Maybe you too can become a mod.
Boundaries upon which we've been issued those orders.
And General Kane, I would encourage again my colleagues. I am at a disadvantage. I've seen the legal opinion, but I can't talk about it because it's classified. I've seen the targeting criteria, but I can't talk about them because they're classified. I've seen the secret list of DTOs against whom we have declared war that even they haven't been informed of, but I can't talk about it because it's classified. But I would urge all of my colleagues to go to the SCIF and read the targeting criteria and get briefed about it. And then also look at all of the files of all the strikes that have taken place. I've done that with the first 46 strikes or so. And I think there's a profound mismatch between what is occurring and the underlying assumptions in the legal opinion. And I would just encourage my colleagues to dig into this. To Secretary Hegseth and General Kane, the War Powers Resolution specifies that a war initiated by a president without congressional approval must be concluded within 60 days. It can be extended by an additional 30 days if, quote, the president determines and certifies to Congress in writing that unavoidable military necessity respecting the safety of the U.S. Armed Forces requires the continued use of such armed forces in the course of bringing about a prompt removal of such forces. We're right at the 60-day deadline. Is the president intending to either seek congressional authorization for the war in Iran or send us the legally required certification that he needs an additional 30 days to remove U.S. forces from the war?
Just briefly on the previous question, we do know that these are designated terrorist organizations, so we treat them like the Al-Qaeda of our hemisphere, just as a note.
But that was not the question I asked.
I know
asked
there's
whether
more to
there
that question. I just
asked
think it's
whether there was
important for the
evidence
public to
of
understand.
Trump can't write, man. He can barely do his own signature nowadays. He ain't writing shit.
That. There's no willy-nilly targeting of drug boats. We know exactly who these people are affiliated
I
with.
was asking about what's on the boats.
On Iran. Ultimately, I would defer to the White House and White House counsel on that. However, we are in a ceasefire right now, which our understanding means the 60-day clock pauses or stops in a ceasefire. They're not in.
Yeah.
It's our understanding, just so you know.
Okay, well, I do not believe the statute would support that. I think the 60 days runs maybe tomorrow, and it's going to pose a really important legal question for the administration. We have serious constitutional concerns, and we don't want to layer those with additional statutory concerns. I yield back, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much. Senator Sullivan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, gentlemen, for your testimony.
Can we skip Senator
Mr.
Sullivan? He sounds like he's
Secretary,
gonna be
I mentioned
fucking
in the
boring.
classified hearing today, but I do think the $1.5 trillion top line is
What all those items, housing or Golden Dome, whatever, why aren't they in the
Forgot
regular
how far
budget? Why
behind
do
I
we
was in the
suddenly
live.
have a two-part budget where this committee and the Congress generally has oversight and input to a process where a quarter of the budget is essentially a slush fund?
Well, Senator, I appreciate the question. I wouldn't characterize a quarter of it as a slush fund, but I recognize that we see it as in totality as a $1.5 trillion budget.
But why
Multiple
the
ve-
separation? Why the two pieces?
multiple
vehicles.
vehicles. As you know, there are multiple dynamics that play into why there are multiple vehicles, but we are fully committed with working to the committee to ensure that the right vehicles are utilized to get precisely this amount, 1.5 trillion.
Where is it? Yeah, Adam's like, he thinks the ceasefire pauses the game. No, man. A ceasefire is not an end to a war. You still have troops over there. There's still, there's still a blockade going on, which I would consider not very ceasefire friendly. Like, they're still doing military action. They're just not bombing the shit out of things right now. Don't drink in Heg's text. Hilarious. Like, it's not a pause to the conflict. Like, that's not how the statute works. You get 60 days to conclude whatever you're doing. 60 days. That's it. No ifs, ands. Obviously, there's an extra 30 days if the president can write a good letter that he certifies there's a need for the military for another 30 days. But after apparently tomorrow, now they're in violation of the statute, of the war power statute.
Why should we? You didn't answer my question. Why are there two pieces? Why not? For time immemorial, we've done budgets here. We've never, to my knowledge, we've never used this reconciliation process for a defense budget before. What's going on? Why not?
My understanding of the reason for the vehicles is to ensure we actually get to 1.5 trillion, which is the most important bottom line. The most important bottom line is that top line of 1.5 trillion to fund what we need. And we think this process is the most effective way to get there, Senator.
Well, what you're really saying is we don't want to deal with that pesky Congress and their appropriation process. I think this is significant, Mr. Chairman, that we're basically abdicating a quarter of our responsibility in terms of this budget. Let me move on. One of the factors of this budget that hasn't gotten any publicity is that there's zero funding for Ukraine. That's correct, isn't it, Mr. Hurst?
That's correct. There's no USAI funding in this budget.
And there was 400 million that was appropriated last year by a bipartisan bicameral act of Congress. What's become of that money? My understanding is not a dollar of it has been dispersed.
It was released very recently, and again, we got these funds, I believe, in March, and it takes time for funds to flow through the department, but it's going to get put to work very shortly. We're going to work with the UCOM commander to make sure we use these funds in the most appropriate way possible.
I didn't want Senator Sullivan to be the only one with an exhibit. This indicates what's happened to our support for Ukraine over a period of years.
What do we got going on over there? Let's see. Military aid and financial and humanitarian aid. So, military aid 2022, America was about half. 2023, the United States was, let's say, roughly 40%, close to half. 2024, about half. And 2025, almost none of it. And let's see, financial and humanitarian aid, we were about a quarter, less than a quarter. And then I'd say like 40% there. And now none of it. So as soon as the Trump administration came into effect, all aid, or almost all aid, to Ukraine has ceased. McKinnon, I'll play it for you, McKinnon. Hold on, I gotta find it.
Open the fucking straight, you crazy bastards.
The orange bars are U.S. support. The blue bars are Europe. As you see, Europe is 99% in the year 2026. Same thing with humanitarian and other aid
Exactly.
to Ukraine. And yet this is, I believe, an existential struggle for the future of democracy, where we had an aggressive country invade a neighboring country without any justification whatsoever. And by the way, that invading country is the major winner so far of the war in Iran. They've gotten, the estimates are $40 to $80 billion of additional revenues from oil and the relief of sanctions as a result of the war in Iran. Secretary Hegseth, why are we abandoning Ukraine?
Good question.
Senator, if you would hold that chart back up, I think that's a beautiful chart. I think that's exactly what we want. We want Europe stepping up and funding and shouldering the burden. They are rich countries worth 20 trillion versus economy of 2 trillion. Europe can step up, Europe can fund it, and they have through our Pearl Initiative.
But that's not the point, Hegseth. It's not the point. And those, was that $20 trillion he mentioned, the European Union? That's 26 countries broken into those $20 trillion. So it's not even the point. He's talking the collective economy of the European Union, not each individual country and what their military status is. Our country is supposed to be aligned with Ukraine. We're supposed to be supporting Ukraine. We're supposed to be fighting against Russia, and we're not. Instead, we're doing this bullshit.
And through our European command. That's exactly what the American people want to see, is other countries stepping up and funding that. If it's that important to Europe, which I understand why it is, and the incursion of Russia and the bravery of the Ukrainians.
It's important to us too, man. It's gotta be important to us. It's gotta be important to us. I love how they're all about, Hegseth is all about the Western Hemisphere and the Monroe Doctrine. But when it comes to like forgetting about what, the Cold War, or the fact that Russia is basically a rogue state right now, what is he even doing? He's downplaying the war that Russia started with Ukraine because he doesn't want to spend money there, but he wants to spend another $500 billion for what? To continue a pointless war with Iran? That's what he wants to do. He wants to take all of our money into wars that don't mean anything. Wars that we're starting with other countries for really no reason.
Then European countries should pay for it, and that's exactly what that chart says, and that's the administration policy.
So we don't have any interest in what happens in Ukraine. Is that what you're saying? It's only the Europeans?
If you're tired of taking care of the world, then why are we at war with Iran? If you're tired of taking care of the world, then why did we steal Venezuela's president? Those things don't have anything to do with us.
I'm saying the threat is far closer to rich and capable countries in Europe, and they should step up to lead the charge. And that's why that chart is a good thing to see.
They have stepped up, but I think the American people should understand that we've stepped back. In fact, stepped back to the point of abandoning.
This is a war that never would have happened under President Trump, and he supports ending.
It absolutely would have happened under President Trump, and it would have been much worse.
Get through a deal, and he's pursued that.
So far, it hasn't happened. I'm at a time.
Yeah, it hasn't happened, and Putin keeps playing him like a fool every time. Every time they have a summit or whatever, Putin's like, oh yeah, maybe I'll do it. And then he never fucking does it because he doesn't have to. Because no one's holding him accountable. He just tells Trump what he wants to hear.
I want to talk about DTOs, who designates, but we'll take that up
Thank-
later.
Thank you,
Chairman.
Senator King. Senator Schmidt.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And it's apropos that I'm following my friend from Maine. Missouri and Maine came into the union.
Wait, what is going on here? I skipped this part of the chat. I was too focused on the troll. What the fuck is going on here? Gina, what are you and McKinnon scheming here? A 90s inspired Tim's food truck shirt, like those you got for the eating challenge thingies. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. McKinnon, I will send you the artwork for the food truck. How about that? And then you can have some, do whatever you want. No, when did Venezuela threaten us? When did Venezuela threaten us? And I thought we took care of Iran's nuclear capabilities in Operation Midnight Hammer. So why did we need a war? Their reasoning doesn't make any sense. Your reasoning doesn't make any sense. I don't want this. But I'll send you the artwork from the food truck.
Time, but we couldn't disagree more on this particular point. We may have to separate here. I actually think it's interesting that Ukraine just came up because we've heard from my colleagues on the other side discussion about the cost of what the ongoing American effort. There was never a discussion about the $200 billion we were sending to a foreign country that's not even in NATO. Never. In fact, when amendments were offered for independent audits of how that money was spent, there was bipartisan opposition to that kind of oversight. So I find it really rich now that there's a complaint that we're not spending money on Ukraine. And by the way,
Midnight Hammer missed the ones tucked under the sofa. I guess. Come on, Hegseth and Trump supporters. You either got them all or you didn't. All right? This war is either about the fact that Iran was about to get nuclear weapons and you don't want them to get nuclear weapons, or you did the thing you were supposed to do the first time and now you're just having a war for fun. Like you either failed the first time or you failed this time.
$30 billion for salaries for bureaucrats, pensions, and social safety net programs and government operations to keep the
McKinnon, I sent you the pictures in Facebook.
State functioning during wartime. That's where American tax dollars were going, $30 billion for bureaucrats in Ukraine. And we just heard a speech for more money for Ukraine. Yet the $1.5 trillion for this country is being balked at. I mean, I've seen Ukraine flags all over this Capitol for 3 years.
It's wasteful. The $1.5 trillion, what's the reason for it? They already have $1 trillion. We already spend more than any other country or several countries combined on our military. Like, I don't know, it's the next, like 20 countries combined? We spend more than any of them? What's the point? Except to feed the military-industrial complex, except to make Pete Hegseth's friends more money, except to make Palantir more money. There's no point. There's no reason for it, and we'll never find out because they'll never go through an actual audit.
At the same time, the same people call the president of the United States of this country a Nazi. So forgive me.
Wait, what happened?
If this country, same time, the same people call the president of the United States of this country a Nazi.
Nah, the president, I don't think the president's a Nazi. The president's not a Nazi. But, that guy? He might be.
Diversity, you get strength, our shared purpose. Word to that is merit. We had a department that was obsessed with gender, ideology, and race, diversity, equity, and inclusion. In fact, the
Nazi-ish.
mantra you would hear dripping from the lips of generals and with a serious look on their face was, "Our diversity is our strength," which is the single dumbest phrase in military history.
Whoa, Hegseth, slow down there, buddy. You're getting a little bit too into that white nationalism you got there.
Dripping from the lips of generals and with a serious look on their face was, "Our diversity is our strength," which is the single dumbest phrase in military history. Of course, our diversity is not our strength. Our unity is our strength, our shared purpose, the flag we wear and the Constitution we serve to defend. And when you clear that debris away, whether it's Marxist ideologies or social engineering or political correctness or quotas based on gender and diversity, you get the best of the best rising up, regardless of gender, regardless of race, motivated by that environment where merit reigns. It's accountability, standards, lethality, readiness, training, all the debris wiped away. That is the secret sauce of the
Wow.
revival of the War
Wow.
Department.
Yeah, no, he's not doing any social engineering at all. That's totally not Nazi shit that he's doing right there. I'm not saying that Pete Hegseth is a Nazi, but he's read the books.
And why Americans are attracted to serving in it, and why those inside it, why morale is sky high. And any insinuation that it is not are coming from folks who haven't been in our units recently. Go visit the troops at every level, and their morale is at record level.
And I want to talk about morale with the 15 seconds that I have left. I want to thank you for coming to St. Louis.
Right. I'm not saying that Pete Hegseth is a Nazi, but he certainly sounds like one.
Your Arsenal of Freedom tour, where the next generation aircraft, the F-47, is being built by the hardworking men and women in Missouri who take a tremendous amount of pride for that aircraft that's going to go further, see further, go faster, have a bigger payload. And I know there's another decision coming with the FAXX, but really appreciate your leadership and thanks for coming.
Thank you, Senator.
Thank you, Senator Schmidt. Senator King, do you wish to ask unanimous consent to include your exhibit in the record?
Yes, please.
Without objection, that will be done. Senator Warren.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So Americans are paying.
Ooh, hopefully it's about to get good. Hey, so Mikey and I have this working theory that every time we mention certain people on the show, the bots all show up. So Elizabeth Warren is about to be on the screen here, and let's see if the bots show up. Let's see if they show up.
Paying a high price for Donald Trump's war with Iran. We've got 14 service members who are dead, over 400 more who are wounded. Prices are rising for nearly every American family. But someone is profiting off Trump's war. Insiders who know what's going on and who place bets on that inside information. On March 23rd, just 14 minutes before Trump unexpectedly posted about, quote, very good conversations on ending the war, traders suddenly bet $500 million on the price of oil, which, once Trump made his announcement, immediately dropped. It happened again on April 7th, and then again on April 21st, a surge in oil bets, then a Trump post, and then a huge shift
Are we
in
talking
oil
about insider
prices
trading on
in just the
Polymarket?
space of minutes.
That is 100%
It looks
what's
like
going on.
insiders have been making.
Yeah, no, it is 100% what's going on over there. Polymarket and Kalshi, they are fucking insider trading the shit out of that. What Donald Trump Jr. is an advisor to both of those companies. So, like, come on, guys. It's insider trading on fucking unregulated platforms. It's ridiculous. Yeah, it's inside the house gambling bets, man. They already know what's going to happen and when it's going to happen. So they're calling their friends, hey, saying bet on this thing to happen at this time. It is insider trading on unregulated fucking betting markets.
Out like bandits using secret information about the war. Now, one U.S. soldier has been charged, but that was for betting on capturing Maduro months ago. Not a single person has been charged in the many, many, many trades over the Middle East war. So, Secretary Hegseth, do you have any explanation for these perfectly timed spikes in trading activity other than insider trading?
Senator, all I can tell you is that everything we've done in our
Now, this is, well, close to live. We're like 15 minutes behind. I haven't seen what's going to happen next, but I can guarantee you Pete Hegseth is going to use the line that, well, Elizabeth Warren is insider trading in the Senate and the stock market, because that's what, you shouldn't own stock as a senator. Valid argument. However, stock market trades and fucking polymarket are a bit different.
our department, everything we've done with information.
And also, they want to slander legislators anytime they can.
In working with the White House and across the interagency has been completely above board.
Well, so what does it mean? Do you have any other explanation other than insider trading? Do you have a story for why just minutes before there's an announcement, there's a surge in trading activity?
Senator, I'm more than focused on doing my job and ensuring we execute properly, which thankfully under this administration.
I'm sure we're not going to find out that Pete Hegseth has been making trades on Polymarket or bets on Polymarket at all.
Our troops have done incredible things in all these missions. My job in all of those moments is to make sure we're prepared. And that's part of the reason why we've been so successful in these raids, in these efforts, is that this joint force is prepared.
You're saying you're not paying any attention to this insider trading. Is that what you're telling me? That you've paid no attention to this? You haven't noticed it? You haven't done anything about it?
What I'm saying is we're focused on our mission of executing for the American people, and what happens in markets is not, in betting markets is not something we're involved in.
What happens in betting?
But it is your problem because it's your people doing it. Betting on trades and events that they know are going to happen. Senator, I'm too busy watching Quentin Tarantino movies. There you go. Oh, what is this? Trump withdraws nomination of Casey Means for U.S. Surgeon General. Thank God. Instead, nominating radiologist and Fox News contributor Nicole Safer. Is that her name for the Post? Wow. How many Fox News hosts is Trump going to put in his fucking administration? I mean, we got one right here. But how many more is he going to fucking fit in there? You got Jeanine Pirro out there yelling about the dude who tried to get Trump at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. You got, what's his name? The Secretary of Transportation. There's a bunch of them, man. How many more are left? He's taking all of Fox News' hosts. They're not going to have anyone left at the end.
Markets doesn't matter to you, even if the information may be coming from insiders in your office?
Senator, it's not something we're involved in at all. And of course, we take operational security at every level very seriously. In fact, no one's taken operational security more.
All you have to do is watch Polymarket or Kalshi if you think things are going to happen. And when people start making those big trades, you're like, oh shit, it's going down. That's all you have to, you just have to have people watching those markets on those trades. The notorious Secretary of War Crimes. Oh man, that's great. Secretary of War Crimes needs to be relocated to prison.
Seriously than us. If you look at what it required to keep secret Midnight Hammer and Operation Maduro, the absolute resolve with Maduro, and the steps we've taken, no one's been tighter about ensuring that operational security is
steps
ensured.
to deal with insider trading out of your office?
I mean, we would ensure at every level that inside information
I
is
take that as a no.
properly safeguarded.
All right. Well, obviously you're not. I'm also concerned about recent reporting on your own financial dealings with regard to profiting from the war in Iran. The Financial Times reported that your broker tried to buy hundreds of shares in a BlackRock fund invested in defense companies just before the war began. The law clearly prohibits the Secretary.
That entire story is false, has been from the beginning, and was made up out of whole cloth. And anybody that looks at it sees how it was worded from the beginning to make it look like I was involved in something I had nothing to do and never have. So any insinuation that I've ever profited other than serving this nation, what I give, what you give, what others give, I'm not looking for money. I don't do it for money. I don't do it for profit. I don't do it for stocks. And that's part of the reason why I'm able to be effective in this job, because no one owns me. No one owns this department. No one owns this president, and we can execute for the American people, and we
The
do.
law clearly prohibits the Secretary of Defense from owning stock in the 10 biggest defense contractors. Other senators and I sent you a letter with detailed questions about this, and you have not given us a response. So I'd like to hear you say, did you, through your broker at Morgan Stanley or otherwise, seek to invest in any defense-related funds right before Trump started the Iran war?
I'll give it to you as a big, fat negative.
Then let me ask you a second question. Is your broker getting your personal sign-off on any investment in individual stocks?
Bigger, fatter negative.
He's not getting your sign-off before he makes investments in defense stocks? Can I refer you to your
I'm not making
ethics
investments,
agreement?
Senator.
I am asking, does he know that he has to get your sign-off before he does that?
Of course.
The
I
time
don't know what
of
you're
the
looking for, but you ain't
senator
gonna
has
find it.
expired. Thank you. Thank you, Senator.
So I think old Kegsbreath here might be selling himself up the river there. Because if that Financial Times reporting is true, then he's extra fucked. Now he's lying to Congress. Wow, we got some real Pete Hegseth we got some Pete Hegseth dislike going on in the chat. The Secretary of War Crimes is full of lies. He's he's drunk talking about his anus. He also supports making Epstein Island great again. Wow. We keep secret operations names using a Steven Seagal D-list movie name generator. Yes, now that's on record. And if he is lying, and I have no idea, I'm not privy to his financial dealings, but if he is lying, you can add lying under oath to Congress to the charges.
I would like to enter into the record the ethics agreement that the Secretary of Defense has signed, that he will sign off personally before his broker makes any attempt to buy defense stocks.
Is there objection?
Thank you.
Without objection, it will be admitted. Senator Banks.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Secretary Hegseth, you're doing a great job. I've been in Washington for 10 years.
Job.
Several secretaries of defense, now Secretary of War. You're the best that we've had since I've been in Washington. What you've done to restore readiness, restore military recruitment, get the Pentagon focused on war fighting is second to none. And I appreciate what you and President.
Oh no. One of the so Nicole Saper, who is now the I guess the pick for nomination for Surgeon General, is one of the individuals who believes that your faith boosts your overall wellness. Oh boy. Let's see. We're not going to listen to this guy's fucking bullshit.
Every Hoosier that I talk to, so I appreciate your leadership. I yield back.
Thank you very much, Senator Banks.
That was I guarantee you that was like 5 minutes of solid ass kissing.
Senator Peters.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, ranking member. Gentlemen, welcome to the committee. I appreciate this discussion. I'll just.
Question from Chris C. Serious question. When this madness ends and hopefully investigations and prosecutions happen, how easy will it be for the DOJ to gain access to details from market trading platforms? I don't know. And part of the reason is I don't know too much about these platforms, except that they are, one of them is kind of like banned from being used in the country. I think Polymarket, you can't make certain trades in America because they haven't gotten approval for that. But Kalshi, I think that you can kind of do whatever you want. But the reason these platforms are so dangerous right now, especially when it comes to national security and making trades based on insider information about military operations, is that anybody could be watching. and they're largely unregulated. Government is very slow to keep up with these things. They're not quite gambling, which allows them to operate the way they operate. Um, it's a big problem that has cropped up fairly recently, and Congress is just now coming to grips with what it is, and legislation is going to take a long time. So unless states start regulating, or the executive branch starts trying to regulate with like consumer protection or the DOJ, it's going to be a long time before anything's actually done about this stuff. And it could take a couple of years, especially if we're talking about, the DOJ being back in the hands of people who know what the fuck they're doing. Todd Blanche isn't going to do anything about it. Pam Bondi was never going to do anything about it. Kash Patel's not going to do anything about it. They're all probably trading. They're all probably a part of it. So it's going to be a real problem until some serious people actually get in there to do the job and regulate and try to investigate what actually happened. Because unfortunately, all it is, unless actual investigations are going now, is speculation. And you'd have to go through people's financial history, and you can't just do that. So it's not something that's going to be taken care of, at least I think, in the next year or two, unless the midterms are really one-sided in favor of the Democrats, and Congress can start investigating these things with like commerce committees, or the committees who fall under that sort of jurisdiction. Otherwise, it's going to be insanity, and it's going to continue for a while. And that's my TED Talk on Polymarket.
Start off, the number one question I get when I'm back home from people is basically very simply, when will this war end? We know the costs are that the American people are paying, both in higher fuel costs, our farmers are paying because of fertilizer cost. We know that the whole world economy is paying a great deal for this war. And basically, as I think that through, and this is what I want to talk to you about, is that we all know that it's a whole lot easier to go to war than it is to get out of war. That's always the tough question. And we've got to figure that out. And there are some folks who've written quite a bit about this. One text on war by Karl von Clausewitz. Mr. Secretary, I'm sure you're familiar with the book. I know all of the men and women in uniform are. It's the most widely read, most influential military strategy book in Western history, which is pretty broad. And it is the core curriculum that is read in all the war colleges. I read it when I was at the Navy War College taking courses. It's part of what the U.S. military thinks about when to go to war and then how to get out of the war. And one of those core principles it starts with is basically war is the continuation of politics by other means. That everybody knows that quote who's worn the uniform, and others too. And basically means there's two things about that. It's politics to get in the war, and it's politics to get out of the war. And in between, we rely on the men and women in the military to carry out those policies.
Follow-up question from Chris C. Say if the Democrats take the House and the Senate in the midterms, what are the chances they will either drag their feet or block any attempt because they are involved? It's politics. I don't think there's a real incentive. I don't think, unless there is a real incentive for Democrats to legislate away, Polymarket and Kalshi or whatever, that meaningful change is going to happen, unless the corruption is so bad in government and the corruption is so terrible that someone will have to take action, and it's not going to be the Republicans because they're all complicit, and God knows how many Democrats are actually complicit anyway. So unless it gets to a point where nobody can stand the political heat of it, something might not get done at all. But when it comes to like what Elizabeth Warren was talking about when she was asking about the insider trading in the military, about certain operations and those markets, if there's big enough blowback, I think both parties would probably want to try and get on top of it. I think the Democrats are more likely to do anything about it, but it is a valid point. They could also be very complicit in insider trading. And honestly, when it comes to government officials, I don't think government officials should be allowed, at least on the federal level, to hold any stocks, and maybe even on the state level. I certainly wouldn't, like, if it was me, I wouldn't, but I guess that's me. You know, they already make enough money, I suppose. So I guess the actual answer is, if the Democrats are complicit, if the Democrats are involved, then they will drag their feet. They will, I don't think they'll actively block attempts to legislate, but I think that they will slow down or water down whatever the legislation may be.
So I want to be clear, and I think I speak for all of my colleagues, is that we know the military plays an important part. They need to do the job, and nobody questions the amazing work that our men and women in the U.S. military have done and continue to do. They've performed absolutely brilliantly, and we applaud all.
How long is what? The hearing or the show? The show is usually hours. These hearings do go on for some time.
All that they have done. However, what we do question is the politics.
That's
part.
okay.
It's a continuation of politics. So
Valid
it's our political
questions.
leaders that get us into war, and our political leaders who have to get us out of that war.
Ooh, you know
which
what? All right,
falls
we're going
on-
to skip
on
this
you,
guy
Mr.
because fuck
Secretary
him. He's
Hegseth, and
boring.
I'm looking at 53.
We're going to go to Senator Mark Kelly, and that'll probably be the last one. I don't know how many people are on this committee.
billion for munitions acceleration over 14 critical munitions, of which the ones you listed are a part.
Okay,
So I believe more
53.
than that. Yes, sir.
More than 20 billion more. So we've been working together to grow the industrial base because we're all worried about
Slotkin
how our
is after him? We'll
stockpiles
get
would
Slotkin
hold up
too.
in a conflict against China. Since the start of this war, you've made it a point to highlight the number of strikes the U.S. military is carrying out, citing that more than 13,000 targets had been struck as of April 8th. On March 2nd, you said, and this is a quote, "This was a massive, overwhelming attack across all domains of warfare, striking more than 1,000 targets in the first 24 hours. On March 10th, you said, "Yet again, our most intense day of strikes inside of Iran." On April 6th, you said, and this is another quote, "The largest volume of strikes since day one of this operation." Your department has released video after video of things blowing up. None of us doubt the strength of the U.S. military and their ability to do hard things.
If Mikey never shows up today, I will be done in about an hour. I have to go somewhere, so the show will only continue for another hour unless Mikey shows up. I don't know. So we'll see.
I understand that better than anybody. The questions we should be asking and answering are, what does this cost us and what does it achieve for the American people? Many of these strikes use our best weapons, and we're using a lot of them and a lot of interceptors. Open source reporting has estimated that the military has used an outrageous number of Patriots. I'm not even going to say the numbers, but a lot of Patriots, a lot of THAAD rounds, JASSM-ER, Tomahawks, very expensive, exquisite. We can't make these munitions overnight, and it's clear from your budget request that you know that. Can you tell us how many years specifically is it going to take to replace these systems?
Senator, thank you for the question. I would defer to the comptroller on the amount because I think it's a lot higher than 53. If you look at long-range fires, JASSMs, LRASMs, Tomahawks, we're looking at 238 billion.
Okay,
we're
a
looking
lot.
at 40 billion for hypersonic. So I actually think it's closer to 330 billion in munitions.
Okay, how many
ultimately-
years to replenish? That's the question.
I think that's exactly the right question too, Senator, because the time frame we were existing under was unacceptable.
Okay, well,
and what
tell
this
me-
budget does, months and years, fast.
Years.
I mean, we're building new plants in real time.
So
that
just to
will
replace what we have
2x,
expended.
I said months.
And then you said years.
Yeah, 6
Well,
years.
it depends.
6 years is at a minimum. At a minimum, it's going to take a decade to really like. Here's the problem, and I think here's what they weren't considering. In active wartime, like, you know, when the country was in like fully fledged warfare, let's talk like World War II, the Vietnam War, etc. You ramp up production, you ramp up factories. You know, you have the, you know, the government can mandate that companies produce arms and stuff for the military through legislation and executive action. That's not happening. We weren't doing that. You know, there was no ramp up period. It just fucking happened. And yes, you know, companies are producing munitions, companies are producing these systems, but at a much slower pace because we weren't in active war. And now that we are, and we've spent all these munitions and all this equipment, this is what's going to happen. We've depleted our resources, and that, how long is it going to take to rebound from that?
On the weapon system, but 2 to 3, 4x of what we have today. So
Okay.
yes, we're dealing with a reality under the previous administration of what they sent to Ukraine and what they allocated
Okay,
elsewhere.
I got it. So
And
we
we're
fired
rapidly doing it
years
quickly.
worth of munitions. And it is clear.
That's exactly what happened. We fired years worth of munitions at our current production capacities. We don't have ramped up production capacities for military equipment. We just don't. We're not supposed to be in active war. No one said, "Hey guys, we're going to war. We got to ramp up production." It didn't happen. So now it's going to take a while to replenish all that shit.
That these are being expended to try to achieve some objectives. That was the plan. But, Mr. Secretary, this war is stuck. The Strait of Hormuz is closed. The Iranian regime is in place. The nuclear material still in their hands. Americans are being crushed by higher costs. And it's not clear to them at all what the goal of this war is. So, I've got about a minute, and I want to go to another topic. I saw your hearing yesterday, and I'm going to give you one more chance to address a question here.
I was hearing yesterday.
It's my understanding that the definition of no quarter is that legitimate offers of
we're about to go back into, is Pete Hegseth doing war crimes?
Surrender will be refused, or that detainees will be executed. Is that your understanding of the definition?
The only entity that would kill detainees or target civilians is the Iranians, and they're the ones being crushed.
So
It's the Iranian military and their military capabilities.
The question is, do
I
you
disagree
understand
completely with your articulation.
No, do you understand the definition that I just read you? Because that's the definition from your department's law of war manual. Is that your understanding? And I'm gonna just get to the point here.
We fight to win and we follow the law, Senator.
Okay, so your quote was, "We will keep pushing, keep advancing, no quarter, no mercy for our enemies." And yesterday, you did not clarify whether you stand by this statement. So I'm going to give you another opportunity to clarify if that is what you meant. Do you stand by that statement you made on March 13th?
We have untied the hands of our warfighters. We fight to win, and we follow the law.
Okay, so you're not clarifying. So you stand by that statement. So you're the Secretary of Defense. The things you say matter. And your response here, right now, makes it clear to the American people exactly why you are not right for this job.
It makes it clear to our enemies, Senator.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
It makes it clear to our enemies that he's not right for this job. I'm not sure what he was trying. I'm not sure if that was the correct phrasing of what he meant to say.
Thank you. Senator Sheehy has left the room, but it's been whispered to me that I just referred to him in the last exchange as Senator Schmidt. I don't know if he considered that a compliment or an insult, but I would do correct that for the record. Senator Slotkin, I think you were next.
Thank you. Gentlemen, you're here to ask for $1.5 trillion, 40% more than what we gave you last year, $1 trillion. And I agree with the chairman of this committee that the world has never been more dangerous and complicated. And regardless of whether we
Bro, you sound the same as every other MAGA fucking bot that comes into this chat. So your arguments, we've heard them all before. They're nonsense.
disagree on the reasons for getting into this war, I think we can all agree that we want our military to come out of it safely and successfully and as soon as feasible. The military has taken
See, like you don't even care about the argument. You just want to put in your points and then just spat off in the chat. That's all you want to do. That's all you want to do. Get him out of here. Get him out of here. I don't want to listen to his nonsense. It's the same as every other fucking MAGA bot that comes into this chat. They all have different numbers, by the way, buddy. Not everyone says 40,000. Some of you said like 80,000. I think this one said 80,000 in the chat the other day. Your numbers are nonsense.
Well, the administration has taken military action in 10 different places in the world in 15 months, more than any president in U.S. history. I think President Trump has really become a foreign policy president. And many of those operations, were on the news for a couple of days, but then the American public didn't feel them. And I think the difference with this war with Iran is that the American public is feeling it in their pocketbooks. Gas in Michigan is $4.99 today. The cost of fertilizer, of airline tickets, things that are real to people. Secretary Hegseth, the president said that you were most keen on this war. He said that you were the most gung-ho about it. I think despite us all wanting to come out of this successfully, it is hard to miss that we are at the stalemate, that we don't control the Strait of Hormuz because shipping is not getting through. And we can block what they're trying to get through, but nothing is moving and it's costing the American public. And I think that's a fundamentally different moment than the rest of the military action we've taken. Even in like Middle East 101 class, we used to talk about and run war games on the Strait of Hormuz. It's a strategic geography that the Iranians have. And I think it's just concerning to me that we can try and tell the American people that it's going great and we're killing it, but until the Strait of Hormuz is open, I don't think we can credibly say that with any seriousness. I think the question I have for you, though, is future looking, and it's our 2026 elections. The president has been very clear. He said in the State of the Union that essentially if his side doesn't win, then the election was rigged. He said that before the 2020 election. He's asked for voter rolls for 29 different states. He just asked for Detroit's votes or ballots. And we know that in 2020, he wrote an executive order that he didn't sign that said to the US military, to the Secretary of Defense, you should go and seize ballots and voting machines. A few months ago, he said that he regretted that he didn't sign that executive order. So the U.S. military has never been deployed. You incorrectly said yesterday that they were deployed during different elections. Governors deployed them under their authorities, but the federal government has never put the uniformed military at our polls during World War II, right after 9/11. We've never had to do that. So Secretary Hegseth, if the president, who regrets not signing that executive order to the then SecDef in 2020, asks you to seize ballots or voting machines in states during the 2026 election, will you stand up for the Constitution and say no, or will you salute and do his bidding?
Hey, you can do that with the chat. That's cool. Hey, I didn't know that you can do that with the chat. Now the chat's on the screen too. Haha. We'll have all the buttons.
Senator, I didn't get a chance to answer the front part of your question, which.
No. Secretary Hegseth, answer the last part of the question, please.
There was a lot of deferred maintenance under
I
the Biden
understand.
administration that needed to be addressed because the world was in chaos
Just
when President
address
Trump was
the
elected
election
because
issue,
of.
please.
Well, again, that's
It's the most
another.
important thing. It's what's happening.
It's yet another gotcha hypothetical, which is your specialty.
It's not. We had
And
an executive
ultimately,
order
under the
from
Biden
that your
administration in
predecessor had to
2024.
hold. It's not a hypothetical. I refuse to accept. You give that answer all the time. You and I have done this dance before. Get over it, okay? In 2020, he's the president, your boss, the guy you're performing for right now, told the journalists this year that he wished he signed that executive order to your predecessor. And your predecessor said publicly, thank God, we didn't actually go forward with it. What are you going to do? You're the guy here in the seat. It's not hypothetical. Tell the American people, will you deploy the uniformed military to our polls to collect voter rolls or machines?
Are you accusing me of performing? Because
I
you're
like that.
performing for cable news right
Dude,
now.
Dude,
But
just
Mr.
answer the
Secretary,
question.
we have.
It's
very
a
little-
Oh my God. That's all we want. Just answer, dude. Answer the question. I love that.
To our polls to collect voter rolls or machines.
Are you accusing me of performing? Because you're performing for cable news right
Dude,
now.
But
just
Mr.
answer the
Secretary,
question.
we have. very
It's a
little-
hypothetical. By the way, in 2024, under the Biden administration, 15 states did deploy.
Under
troops to
their
polling
governor's
stations.
authority, when their governors asked
What
for
did Joe
it.
Biden say
That's
about that?
fundamentally, I don't think anything, because he needed them for cybersecurity and for COVID. Trump did it too, under Trump. But it was not the federal decision. It was those governors of the states under their authorities, okay? It's never been done in our history. Please stand up for the Constitution. Do not send uniformed military to our polls.
Do you have a response to that portion of the question, Mr. Secretary?
I've never been ordered to do anything illegal, and I won't. That's
Thank you
goes
for-
without saying.
Thank you for the.
Well, good. It's on the record. He's never been ordered to do anything illegal, and he won't.
Answer. Senator Duckworth, you're now recognized.
Ooh, Senator Duckworth, 3 Democrats in
Thank
a
you,
row.
Mr. Chairman.
Mikey's gonna like this. By the way, quick little sidebar here. Like and subscribe. Become a member. Super chats are appreciated. There's a QR code above me right here. That's where the merch is purchased. And yeah, we'll continue on.
Despite his campaign promise of no new wars, President Trump has been obsessed with using the military
Ooh,
any chance
oh.
he gets.
One quick breaking news segment. Congress votes to fund DHS, ending months-long partial government shutdown. Wow, they finally got around to that, huh? Crazy. Oh, that's not good for the vertical, huh? There we go. We'll have to go back to that.
That's from deploying troops to American cities, to propping up Maduro's chosen #2 in Venezuela, to an endless war of boat strikes in the Caribbean Sea, and
Muttley asked in the chat, but if Trump did sign it, would that make it illegal? Yeah. Would that make it legal? No. Just because the president signs off on something doesn't make it legal. The executive branch is not the branch of the government that makes things legal. It's the enforcement branch. None of these guys know their fucking American government. None of these guys ever took American government 101. The executive branch is the enforcement branch. You enforce the laws under the executive branch. In the legislature is where you can make things legal or non-legal. And the Supreme Court can decide what's constitutional and what's not constitutional. Not the president. It's not the president. Fucking read the Constitution. How hard is that? How hard is that to look at the Constitution and say, oh yeah, the Article 1 is the legislative branch. They obviously make the laws. Article 2 is the executive branch. They enforce the laws. They don't get to make their own laws. Just because the president signs something doesn't fucking make it legal. And when this president is no longer president, there's going to be investigations and trials galore about how many crimes this administration has committed because they thought that something was illegal just because the president signed off on it. He's the only one with immunity. Pete Hegseth doesn't have any immunity. None of these fuckers have any immunity. It's only the president who has immunity from his own criminal actions. None of them have the sort of protection that he has. It is going to be a weird 2026 to 2028 for them. Boy.
Now in an illegal war with Iran, where hundreds of thousands of our troops are in harm's way every day with no exit strategy in sight. This administration hides bad policy behind the exceptional military.
Oh no, some of those crimes are serious enough where people will go to jail. It may not be the people at the top. There's going to be a lot of scapegoating, but people will go to jail. It's probably going to be like deputy secretaries and underlings and whatnot who have to, like, whoever is under Pete Hegseth is going to have to cop to what Pete Hegseth did. But there will be people going to jail.
Military operations and the valor of our uniformed personnel. I've long said Iran is a malign actor, but a responsible administration.
Do we have Streamlabs commands on YouTube, for example? I don't know if that works in YouTube. I wish it did. Maybe. Give it a shot. But here, I can post the link to the merch. Since we're here. You can also scan the QR code, but I will put the link for the merch in the chat. Bam. Just copy and paste it, I suppose.
Would have managed this short of conflict instead of starting a war of choice. There was no imminent threat to the United States or our troops. The military was.
Look at this. Look at this. Dropping F-bombs is a sign of low IQ, no class. I don't care what you say. Why should I care what you say? You're some random fuck in the chat. Ha!
Not the most effective tool to get Iran to capitulate, as we're already seeing too clearly now. And using force has made Americans in the Middle East less safe while spiking costs for Americans here at home, all to the tune of 14 service members dead, hundreds wounded, billions of taxpayer dollars, and untold costs to our military readiness. This administration claims to be focused on the warfighter, but President Trump told us when he announced a war from his luxury resort that he expected service members to die. Now, sadly, it's clear how unserious Trump is about his role as the commander-in-chief. His war within Iran has already reminded us how important it is to prevent a war, how serious it is to ask the military to wage one under poor strategic direction, how destructive a wide-ranging war can be for Americans, for our service members, and how difficult it is to actually end one once you start it. The incompetence and casual.
Maniac, I would like to know what makes you an authority on all this. Because we're just listening to Senate confirmation here, or not Senate confirmation. We're listening to budget hearings for the Pentagon. So what makes you so fucking smart about all this, huh? Because I don't know if you see behind me, but I got fucking degrees and shit, bro. Look at that. 3 of them. 2 of them are masters. I know my shit. So don't come at me with a weak response and saying fuck makes you dumb or whatever. That has nothing to do with anything. You're arguing nonsense, not reality.
Disregard for our service members' professionalism and sacrifice is, in my opinion, a scandal. General Kane, can you tell us the status of the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps' Navy, the entity actively closing the strait?
Senator, apologies. I was listening to you. I was just trying to write it down.
No worries.
They're mostly destroyed. CENTCOM continues to watch them.
Not the Iranian Navy,
No,
the IRCG.
yes, ma'am. The smaller, I won't get into any classified materials, but the smaller, fast, and smaller boats, Boston whaler size boats. There's still some.
Don't say you hate my hat.
there.
Why would you hate
Yes,
my
ma'am.
hat?
So this is
Don't hate my hat. My hat never did anything to anyone. By the way, available on TeePublic. It's Tim's hat.
administration and the Secretary of Defense has been boasting about sinking the ships of the Iranian Navy, but let's call this what it is. It's misdirection. They want us to focus on the impressive number of large Iranian ships underwater to distract from the fact that they had no plans for the second Navy that Iran owns that has always been a hard problem to address by military force. The IRCG
right.
Navy, not the Iranian
right.
Navy.
Make Tim's hat great again. I immediately regret saying that.
has been Iran's tip of the spear at the Straits of Hormuz, seizing vessels and threatening to target U.S. assets. Iran has long invested in this second asymmetrical navy, specifically to develop capabilities that would be difficult for conventional U.S. military forces to target. Iran's advantage was well known to anyone paying attention. I have no doubt that competent planners in the Pentagon raised their concerns about a quagmire in the Strait to leadership. The question is why their leadership did not pay attention to this sound advice. Hubris is not strategy, and in war it costs lives. Even if the Strait reopens, this administration has created a new, less safe world by initiating and then bungling this crisis and teaching Iran that it can charge $1 million a ship to transit the Strait. It will take a long time for the global economy to bounce back to normal trade flows. And Iran has learned, again, that they can charge $1 million per ship, creating a new funding line for their.
Wait, does no one like my original hat? No one liked my hat? My actual hat? That's hilarious. Asymmetrical navy, that seems illogically circular.
Malicious activity against Americans for years to come. And in the Indo-Pacific, I don't doubt that if the worst day comes, our military will step up to challenge and defend Americans and our interests with military force. But will they be asked to lay down their lives unnecessarily just because the White House was unready and incapable of preventing a crisis boiling over into a war in the Indo-Pacific? General Kane, do you agree that the military would benefit from significant intra-agency planning by the Department of Defense on actions short of war that can be taken if a crisis occurs?
Ma'am, I appreciate that question, you highlighting the importance of that. And we have really great relationships now on the joint staff with the interagency. I think our relationship in particular, I'll just pick CIA, I think it's the best it's ever been.
You got to get a Tim's hat. They're all the rage.
We're really working hard to find the best of Title 10 capabilities plus the best of Title 50 to ensure that we deliver really entrepreneurial options for our national policymakers to do what you're talking about, Senator.
All right. But I am concerned because during the recent NDS hearing, I laid out the very real ways that a crisis in just one of the dozens of flashpoints in the Indo-Pacific could be devastating for our service members, Americans, and our American economy. But since then, this administration.
Oh, Trump saw off the king and queen, telling them he'll visit the UK in a couple weeks. Yeah, I don't, is Trump healthy enough to do all that? Who's to say?
Has only further diminished DOD's ability to prepare for these crises. In fact, as many as 1/3 of the assets in the Middle East are originally meant to be in the Indo-Pacific. This war of choice is draining our military resources. We need leaders who do everything they can to ensure warfighters only fight when they have to, not because of one man's whims and a lack of bravery among the yes men he surrounds himself with. I thank you for your service, General, and I continue to look forward to working with you.
Thank you, Senator Duckworth. Senator Rosen.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Ranking Member Reed. Thank you.
I think we've all learned that the answer to that is no. Biden was not healthy enough. He was in decline the last, year or two of his presidency. And he shouldn't have tried to run a second term. He shouldn't have. But neither should Donald Trump, because that dude has dementia and his brain is turning to mush. It's really bad now. The dude sundowns every single fucking day. He's up at 3, 4 in the morning doing fucking crazy Truth Social nonsense, man. Some really weird shit. Some really weird shit goes on in his Truth Social. He's getting worse all the time. Someone needs the 25th Amendment him because it's not great. It's not great at all.
General, for your service. Before I begin my questions for Secretary Hegseth, I have one brief important question for General Kane. General, as you've acknowledged at your confirmation hearing, service members who served at locations which another U.S. government agency deems contaminated, like the Nevada Test and Training Range, should have the same presumption of radiation exposure as DOE employees who served alongside them. But we also must ensure that DOD provides the VA with the records proving that these individuals served there.
Astronaut videos?
So this is
Okay,
a
I'll pull
problem
up
that
one.
DOD has the
This is
power
almost
to
over.
solve. I know we've discussed this. So General Kane, will you commit to ensuring parity for DOD personnel who served in locations that the U.S. government has already deemed contaminated, identifying those who served in such locations, and providing documentation of that service to the VA so that they can receive the veterans benefits that they have earned?
You bet, ma'am. And I'm, since our last time together on this, we've continued to chip away at removing.
All right. I think that's enough. I think that's enough, Pete Hegseth, for anyone to take in really any amount of time. So we got Donald Trump speaking with the astronauts. This was requested. Look at, for all Trump's faults, he is a crazy, crazy man. He is right on blocking Iran. The Tehran loop of outside SWIFT dollars liquidity needs to be closed to save us. Right, but their stuff was sanctioned before the war, and then we unsanctioned it, and then we blockaded the strait that they were already preventing ships from going through. Like, it's a crazy fucking quagmire down there. Like, they're kind of stuck, and they don't know how to unstuck it now. By they, I mean Pete Hegseth. Hey, $5 super chat from Tums of Mice. Tim's hat 2026. The wrong hat. Hilarious.
Thank you very much. We have some people that have captivated the attention of the whole world, not just our country, the whole world. And they're very brave. And there was a lot of rocket under them. I never saw anything like that. We were talking about it. It's I don't know how they do it. I wouldn't want to do it. But it takes people like this to make our country great. And
But we are making them way more money now that the price of oil is almost doubled. Like, that's the crazy part. Them and Russia are making bank on this shit.
again, I've never seen anything. Everybody I knew, they wanted to see the launch, and they especially wanted to see a successful landing. And Jared, I want to congratulate you what you've done at NASA. I made a great choice. I made a great choice. And if you have any questions for any of us, feel free to ask. But we're very proud of these people. They have unbelievable courage, unbelievable. A lot of other things too, by the way. To get in there, you have to be very smart. You have to do a lot of things physically good.
Don't tell Trump there's a Canadian in that group.
Trouble making it physically very, very good. Maybe a little bit of a problem. I'm not sure. We'll have to try it sometime. Is a president allowed to go up in one of these missions?
We can get working on that.
We'd have no problem, right?
We'll launch more rockets. The opportunity.
We'll have to try it.
They need to shoot Trump into space. They need to. If he wants to go, let him go. If he wants to go to space, let him go. Shoot him up there in a rocket. Let's see what happens. Because his 80-year-old body ain't going to be able to take that stuff, man.
Congratulations very much. And by the way, their families are over.
Please
here,
go
beautiful
to
families,
Mars.
and they're in the Oval Office, and they walked in. They said, "Wow, the Oval Office. Everybody likes the Oval Office." Any questions, please?
Thank you, Mr. President. First of all, it's a great honor to meet all of you. Congratulations and welcome to the White House. I have had the privilege of interviewing Gene Cernan, the last man to walk on the moon.
Oh, good.
Is that what you would like to do? And Mr. President, do you think that will happen during your second term?
Well, we have a shot at it. I mean, we don't like to say definitely because then you say, "Oh, we failed, we failed," because I think we could say we're ahead of schedule. So we have a good shot. We've authorized it, and I think with this team and with Jared's done such an amazing job at NASA, I think we have a good shot, right? We'll see.
Yes, Mr. President, we have an achievable plan now back to the moon. We're back in the business of launching moon rockets with frequency. So we just sent Artemis 2 around the moon. We're going to launch Artemis 3 in 2027.
Dude, who's the fucking 12-year-old they got to run NASA? Who the fuck is this guy? Can anyone, Chrissy, can you find out who the fuck this guy is? They got like the weirdest looking motherfucker to do this. He doesn't look like he's been through school.
Protect for up for 2 opportunities in 2028 to return astronauts to the surface of the moon.
I like space. I started Space Force, as you very well know. been very, very important. Then they tried to kill it. And actually, the military would not let the Biden administration kill it. They wanted to kill it. And it's going to turn out to be one of our most important things. I think it'll turn out to be one of the most important things they did. But we got involved with NASA bringing it back. And I was saying when I first looked at some of your facilities, they had grass growing on the runways, right?
The Trump administration has slashed NASA's budget, completely obliterated it. They haven't brought anything back. They're just using what little money they can to go to the moon for no reason.
Between the cracks of the asphalt, and but not anymore. It's really strong. And you know what they do? One of the things they do that's so important is for our military offense and defense. And a lot of people say, well, is it worth it? It's really worth it because what's happened militarily, you see what we're doing militarily, a lot of that comes from space. So it's been pretty great. Good question. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have two questions for you. First, on the topic of space, do you have an update on the UFO files and what might?
Is his name Jared Isaacman? Is that the gangly motherfucker over there?
In the near future, for some reason, and I guess it's just a reason it's been in the minds of people for a long time, and that is such, they want to find out about the UFOs and anything having to do with UFOs.
Does Trump realize that like half the people that like him are flat earthers and they don't believe you can actually go to space? Because like they're all fucking flat earthers, right? So they're like that you can't. This is all fake. I'm sure they're like this is all fake.
Or related material, and we're going to be releasing a lot of things from that we have, and I think some of it's going to be very interesting to people. I've interviewed people, my first term primarily, but I interviewed some pilots, very solid people.
See,
and
like
they
this
said
person.
They saw things that you wouldn't believe. So
Going into space is dumb. No
air.
air.
Yes.
Sir, you spoke to Vladimir Putin not too long ago. Did you talk to him about
today?
Did you talk to him about that?
Jared Isaacman is another nutter. He just called to make Pluto a planet again. Dude, Pluto is a dwarf planet. The keyword being planet. This is what happens when you put people in charge of science that have nothing to do with science.
Progress in the space area, and what else did you talk
I didn't talk about space. No, I talked about Ukraine, and I talked a little bit about Iran. I talked about a few different subjects, mostly about Ukraine, and we had a very good conversation. I think we're going to come up with a solution relatively quickly, I hope.
What does he want?
I think he'd like to see a solution, I can tell you, and that's good.
What involvement does he want to have in the Iran situation?
He told me he'd like to be involved with the enrichment if he can help us get it. I said, I'd much rather have you be involved with ending the war with Ukraine. To me, that would be more important because we're gonna have that. Look, we're not gonna let Iran have a nuclear weapon, and we've knocked out their Navy, we've knocked out their Air Force, we've knocked out their anti-aircraft, everything, apparatus, everything they have, their radar, they have very little left. And they have some missiles, a small percentage. They have a small percentage of missile-making facilities. We knocked out about 80% of them. The rest could come very quickly if we don't make a deal. They're not gonna have a nuclear weapon. They know it. And just about everybody else does. And so we talked about that a little bit. He doesn't want to see them have a nuclear weapon either. But I had a long talk with President Putin. I suggested a little bit of a ceasefire, and I think he might do that. He might announce something having to do with that. Did he announce it yet?
No, but I was wondering, I was just going to ask you.
No, I asked him about, even if it's a little ceasefire, there's so many people being killed, it's so ridiculous.
Thank you, Mr. President. In light of today's Supreme Court ruling on the Voting Rights Act, do you want Republican states in the South to look at redrawing congressional districts before
I
the
don't know, you have
midterms?
to tell me, when did the ruling come out? I've been with the astronauts. I've been with contractors because we're trying to get the ballroom built.
Well, Viper Scott says the Trump talk is starting, Tim. The deranged talk is all over the place. Yeah, this is what the MAGA folk call the weave, right? This is the weave, where he just says whatever is filtering through his brain. There is no filter between brain and mouth at this point. It is zero impulse control. He just talks about whatever the fuck he wants to talk about. He's got the astronauts from the Artemis 2 mission here to talk about their time in space and how they went farther than anyone else in human history past the moon. And he's talking about Iran and all this other shit. That has nothing to do with them. He's just taking questions from the press like nobody else is there. Because in his brain, nobody else is there except for him. And people shouting questions at him. He stopped talking about the fucking astronauts so long ago. Chrissy says that Jared Isaacman is a billionaire entrepreneur, pilot, and commercial astronaut. He's the founder of Shift4 Payments, a payment processor, and Draken International, which provides advisory training to the U.S. So he's just another fucking billionaire they put in to government agency to, I guess, make it more efficient or whatever the bullshit is. Ballroom on the moon. Exactly.
Yeah. Ahead of schedule. It's right on schedule. It's ahead of schedule now. I want to keep it that way.
Came out today.
And I was also with commissioning some people, but one of, David Warrington's son. I don't know, David. Everybody knows David. He's got this incredible son.
I don't know who the fuck is David
He was just
Warrington.
sworn in, so we had other things.
Never
Tell me
heard
about
of him.
What happened?
Well, some think that the ruling could create more Republican held congressional seats in the South.
That's good.
Yeah. would you
That's the
want
kind
them-
of ruling I like.
Would you want them to
When did
proceed?
that happen?
Well, the Supreme Court ruled on it this morning.
Really? Is that right? Tell me about the ruling.
Well, I have a question.
This is
Mr.
CNN
President.
fake news.
On your call with President Putin today, do you think the war in Iran ends first or the war in Ukraine?
Well, we talked more about the war in Ukraine, but he would like to be of help. Like I said, before you help
Another
me, I wanna
Elon
end
Musk,
your
this
war.
fucking guy is.
So we had a good talk. I've known him a long time. I think he was ready to make a deal a while ago. I think some people made it difficult for him to make a deal, but we talked more about Ukraine.
But which war do you think ends first?
That's an interesting question. Coming from you, that's very interesting. Which war would end first? I don't know. Maybe they're on a similar timetable. I think Ukraine, militarily, they're defeated. Okay, you wouldn't know that by reading the fake news, but militarily, look, their navy.
Militarily, Ukraine is defeated? Wow. He just talked to Putin after this, right? Or before or after this? He you know what? Putin was the last person to talk to him, wasn't he? And then Putin was like, "Oh yeah, by the way, we defeated Ukraine militarily." God, what a fucking idiot.
So they had 159 ships. Every ship is right now underwater. Typically, that's pretty good. What do you think, Jared? I mean, it's going to be hard for them to make a naval.
Jared doesn't know shit about shit,
Now
bro.
they have an Air Force. Every one of their planes has been shot down or has been decimated. They have missiles. About 82% are gone. And they have drones, and most of them are gone. Most of the factories are mostly gone. And we have tremendous anti-drone equipment now, between lasers and that new, very special machine gun that knocks them out of the air like flies. And we use bullets.
What is he?
$1 million,
What is he talking about? What the fuck is he talking about? Right. And then he also he went straight from Ukraine to Iran. He got them confused.
missiles to knock out a $30,000 drone. So I would say Jared would tell me that with everything you just heard, typically we're in pretty good shape. And in addition, their economy is crashing. Their, as you know, their money, they call it their money. They don't have a name for it. Their money is valueless.
They do have a name for their money.
They've got inflation that nobody's ever seen before. Other than that, I think they're doing quite well. If you read the New York Times, you'd say they're doing wonderfully because
Their currency is called the real. He doesn't know that because he's an idiot. But I mean, I just Googled it and it's called the real. So
it's fake news. Or if you watch CNN,
everyone has a
cover it
name
all
for
the
their.
time. You
Every
think-
country has a name for their currency, even if they share currency with other countries. All their currencies have names, and they know what the name of their currency is. It's the dumbest shit ever.
They're doing well. Do you think they're doing well where they have no Navy, no Air Force, no anti-aircraft apparatus, other than what they may have put there. They may have brought in some light stuff during the ceasefire, and we know exactly where it is, so it'll be knocked out within the first 15 minutes.
You're about to
Mr.
Yeah, go ahead.
Mr.
Thank
Yeah.
you very much, Mr. President. I want to go back to the Supreme Court ruling on the Voting Rights Act. I know you said you haven't seen it.
When did it come out? Just now?
No, it came out this morning, but basically very much.
Ah, yes, the trolls. Hello. This is factually incorrect. Zelensky offered help to the United States, and the United States said no. The United States said, no, we don't need your expertise on drone technology. We would rather go into this war like it was 1995.
Narrows the Voting Rights Act.
Was it considered a win for
A
who?
win for Republicans.
I love it.
Absolutely. But my question.
This is a very good, we can end this news conference right now. I want to read it.
My question
Wow.
to you, Mr. President, is that some Republican governors have not responded in terms of what they're going to do. I guess early voting, for example, in Louisiana.
Republican
starts-
governors, what?
Republican governors.
What about it?
Early voting begins Saturday there, for instance. Should they redraw the map in the next couple of
I would. I mean, it depends. I mean, some states don't need to redraw and some do. I mean, I know what the concept of the rule, I just haven't seen the result. Yeah, I would say generally, I would think that they would want to do it. Some are greatly helped and some, it didn't make much difference. Yeah, I would say they would do that. They have time to do it. Yeah, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. I wanted to ask you, there's a lot of drama on the House floor today. Several bills were stalled, and a rule took 2 hours to pass today, and there's still some tension over the farm bill. Do you think that you need to get more involved legislatively on Capitol Hill?
Well, we want the farm bill. The Democrats don't. We want.
Trump reads?
We want security, okay?
Trump does not read. The president of the United States is illiterate. He has to have his briefings in like Instagram reel format or like highlight reels or whatever. He cannot read. He doesn't know how to read. His friends know that he doesn't know how to read, and they've said as such. If you read a book called The Divider, which is about Trump's first presidency, they quote one of his best friends as saying that he has known Trump for over 30 years and never seen him read a book. The president is illiterate.
We need security. We want security. The Democrats don't think we need security. They actually do, but
We're actually lucky this guy can actually sign his name on documents at this point. Like that's the best we can get out of him. Yeah, he listens to audiobooks. That's the best, is that he can actually sign his name. That's all he can do at this point. That and talk gibberish. He's got nothing else.
they suffer greatly from Trump derangement syndrome, like at levels that nobody's ever
Trump suffers from a syndrome. It's called dementia.
seen. They're sick people. There's something wrong with them. They don't want to pay anybody for security. They don't like ICE. They don't like Border Patrol people. They don't like the people that keep us safe. When they ran this, they let 25 million people into our country, and many of those people were from prisons. They were from mental institutions, drug dealers, murderers. 11,888 murders, half of whom committed more than one murder. They think that was fine.
What is he talking
I
about?
happen to like law enforcement. They essentially
He is
want
off
to
his fucking
defund
rocker.
law enforcement, and I don't think the public's going to let them.
Talk about the astronauts, guy. You're not talking about the astronauts who are there to you're there to congratulate them on going to space and back. Not talking about all your random grudges with people.
Get away with it. We got it all approved in the great big beautiful bill, and they want to renegotiate. We don't like that. Yeah.
Yesterday, Mr. President, the King's speech that he made to Congress, he spoke.
I like this
strongly-
one. I like this one. Trump delivered record low border encounters in fiscal year 2025. I don't think this person knows what a fiscal year is, but anyway. The lowest since 1970, and started 0 new wars. Hey, how are those 0 new wars going for us all? The non-new war in Iran that is doing this to our gasoline prices. How's that going? Because our the price of gasoline, the price of reformulated gasoline, is now the highest it's ever been. Right? Higher than the Great Recession, 2008, 2010, higher than during COVID. It's the highest it's ever been. Gas prices are through the fucking roof. So tell me about all the great things that Trump has done for this country.
Forcefully about the necessity for a strong NATO alliance. He also spoke about the necessity to continue to support Ukraine. Did his speech in any way change your thinking on either of those issues?
Well, you have to understand, my thinking is, I think, exactly correct, but I was very disappointed with the fact that when we called on them to give us a little hand, we didn't need it. I actually did it just to see whether or not they'd be there. When we called on NATO to give us a hand with Ukraine and in particular, the most recent, we asked them to do certain things on Ukraine, and we also wanted them to do things with Iran. And on Ukraine, they're very much involved, but they didn't do things the way we would like to see it. It's been going on for a long time. And on Iran, they weren't there, as you know.
Oh, the chat's going too fast now. Hold on, I saw a funny one. If I was an astronaut there and Trump was speaking his weave, I'd leave. That's hilarious. I would fucking walk out too, man. I'd be like, this ain't about me anymore. I'm leaving. Motherfucker, I went to space. Here we go. Maniac is back. Trump derangement system. Trump derangement system. Oh, man, I can't speak. I'm tired now. I have Trump derangement syndrome. Trump derangement syndrome is real and destroys lives.
Boom, baby.
Mikey, oh man, you're late. I was about to end the show. Fuck.
This is what happens when I try to nap before the show.
Oh, that's why I can't show the comments on the stage, because it would cover you up. All right. No, there's this little button where you can show the comments on the stream, but it covers up you. So can't do any of that.
It's very messy. It's very copycat Twitch streamer.
Yeah.
This is StreamYard. We don't need this shit on the screen. You know what
I mean, it's fine. It's fine when it's just me, because but damn.
What you say? You want some smoke? You looking for some smoke? I'll fight this whole show. Everybody who got Street Fighter 5 or 6, line up. I take all your quarters. What's up?
We watched a good portion of Pete Hegseth's Senate budget hearing.
Yeah, I watched that last night when I was cleaning up.
Oh no, this was happening live today.
Oh, what did he do yesterday? Was it?
That was the House. That was the House. Today was the Senate.
So it went progressively worse today than yesterday.
He got bodied by Tammy Duckworth and Slotkin and
Kelly.
What was Kelly? Yeah, he got bodied by a whole bunch of people.
And then I'm sure Fetterman licked his feet after he took his shoes off. I don't know.
He also got bodied by Warren.
Yeah.
Warren asked him about insider trading in the military with all that Kalshi Polymarket stuff. He's like, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Tim, who knew this whole time? We could just say, I don't know.
Right.
Why is there all this money missing from the safe? I'm not familiar with that safe. Is that all it takes? Officer, I don't even know what a bank is.
He was just like, who's to say? I don't know. That's not my purview. I'm just doing war.
Badly.
Horrendously. But Mikey, I'll have to tag out in 5 minutes, actually. I really was going to end the show in about 10 minutes.
Okay.
So, but we can finish watching Trump just hallucinate at people. He was supposed to be speaking with the astronauts, but that has long since passed. The astronauts are just there while he's ranting about shit.
Yes.
So, you know it better than anybody. They weren't there. The king is fantastic. We spent a lot of time together. We had a lot of talk. We talked about this also. And he loves his country, and he's a great king, and he's a great.
Question: is this like a little golden moon he's got going on here?
That might be Earth. There's not enough craters for it to be the moon.
Is that just a giant golden golf ball?
Golf balls have a certain shape. It's got dimples. There's a name for it. I can't think of it though.
I like the fact that Trump collects all these little trinkets. I think that's part of his dementia, is collecting all these little fucking things.
It's starting the Oval Office looks every day a little bit more like a Cracker Barrel. Next thing you know, there's gonna be an old plow. You know, there's gonna be an old plow that's up on the wall mounted, bunch of horseshoes, an old lamp, a little oil lamp. You know, farm life. That's what Trump's all about. That's why he's got 100 knickknacks everywhere.
Sons of Mine says, I bet it's filled with chocolate.
It tastes like oranges. It's a chocolate orange with gold foil.
Oh,
you see this? A lot of people see this. You see this? Smacks it on the desk. It's chocolate.
And I think if he were doing that, if that were up to him, he would have probably helped us with Iran. He would have followed the suggestions we made with respect to Ukraine, because, you know, we have some disagreements on Ukraine.
So the president of the United States just said if the king was in charge of the United Kingdom instead of the prime minister, then the king would have helped him out with Iran, and the king would have helped him out, would have treated Ukraine differently.
That's why no one listens to him.
That's why he's not in charge of government anymore.
That's why he's the king, not the prime minister, because no one gives a fuck what he has to say ever. They call him sausage fingers right to his fucking face. They do not respect that man.
See, he's going by the palace. Sausage fingers.
Except it's probably one of their like football rants. Here comes sausage fingers. Here comes sausage fingers. And they're just like
sausage fingers.
Just going off on them.
And not having to do with NATO so much as European countries. But no, he he's coming back tomorrow. We had an incredible evening last night, and he's leaving tomorrow. He's going to come back and see us before he leaves. And you know,
yeah, sure he is.
No, I think he's a phenomenal representative for his country. I think the people in the United Kingdom should be proud. I loved his speech yesterday. I watched it. I loved the speech last night. I don't know about my speech. I thought my speech was okay too, but I thought he was. I think he's an unbelievable king. And by the way, an unbelievable queen. They are a great couple.
This morning, you were talking about how busy you were this morning.
See, pause. It never fucking fails. If someone has more esteem or prestige than him, he immediately gets on his knees and starts licking their toes. He can't help it.
Yeah.
You know that Mom Donnie, he's a socialist commie bastard, but boy, is he handsome. Like, he just can't help himself. He has to be with the cool kids. He's like, yeah, the king is so like my best friend. Me and the king, we were shooting hoops yesterday.
He told me that I should be king. Maybe I should be king.
You say, there should be a king of America. I could make it you. You used to be a colony. The king of England said I'm the king. Not my king, sausage fingers. Civic show funds. Viper Scott 2.
Oh,
British
yeah. Okay.
Pounds.
Here's what we'll do. So I do gotta go in a few minutes. Let's do that.
Amendments.
We got a few constitutional amendments to get through, and then I'll get out of here.
And then if you guys want to watch some dirty cop videos, I found a bunch. Because we got dirty cops out and about again. I don't think it was Chicago.
All right, we are down to share this tab. We are down to the Fifth Amendment, folks.
I don't want to talk about it. Actually, Tim, you can't make me talk about the Fifth Amendment.
The Fifth Amendment is part of the original first 10 amendments of the Constitution that were ratified with the Constitution.
AKA the Bill of Rights.
No person shall be held to answer for a capital or otherwise infamous crime unless on the pretensement or indictment of a grand jury, except in cases arising in the land or naval forces or in the militia, where in actual service time of war or public danger, those would be like military tribunals.
We got that.
Nor shall
court martials.
Yeah. Nor shall any person be subject for the same offense to be twice put in jeopardy of life or limb. So no double jeopardy. There was a whole movie about it called Double Jeopardy.
There was a whole show about it. It was hosted by Alex Trebek.
No, that's not Double Jeopardy.
There's
a Double Jeopardy segment.
Yeah, the second round is Double Jeopardy. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Let's see. Nor shall be compelled in any criminal case to be witness against himself. That's asserting your Fifth Amendment rights. That's what Jeffrey Epstein did, along with his 6th, 12th, and 18th Amendment rights.
And 14th.
Nor be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. Boy, they skip that one a lot. Nor shall private property be taken for public use without just compensation. They also skip that one a lot, too.
Can you go up to the top one more time? See how it says no person, not no citizen?
Yep.
So that means any person you see on the street gets to be an anonymous person walking down the street until they commit a crime.
Yeah.
Before that, you don't know who that is, and you don't have a right to know who that is. It's none of your goddamn business who that is.
So the Fifth Amendment is basically all your rights as someone who could be accused of a crime.
And let me say this, PSA, if you guys find yourself in any kind of criminal justice situation, do yourself a big favor. Shut the fuck up. Shut up. Shut your fucking mouth. Don't say anything. If you're getting arrested, shut up. Talking will not get those handcuffs off. Shut up.
Nope.
Shut up. I am invoking my Fifth Amendment. And then shut your mouth. Shut up.
You if anything, just say, please read me my Miranda rights.
Sure, if you're feeling brave. Just, you have to I forget what the case was, but there is case law now. You can't just be mute. You can't just lock your, you have to verbally announce,
right?
I am going to be invoking my Fifth Amendment right to silence.
Yeah.
And shut your fucking mouth. Shut up.
In fact, the only other thing you should say is, I would like my attorney.
Right. And they're not going to give you that until you get to the jail anyway. So just shut up. If you're on the side of the road, just shut up. Wait till you get to the jail, call a lawyer. Don't say anything. No, I was just trying to explain my side. Shut up. You don't know what they're looking for. So don't volunteer any information.
The Fourth Amendment regarding search and seizure. The right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable search and seizures shall not be violated, and no warrants shall issue but upon probable cause obtained by oath or affirmation, and particularly describing the place to be searched and the persons or things to be searched. Seized.
ICE learned that the hard way.
Yeah, ICE violated a whole bunch of this.
Oh, 100%. And there's no carve out there for, well, it's a government official. So you kind of have to do what they say. It's the government saying it. No, the motherfucking Constitution says, suck my dick. You don't have get a warrant signed by a judge and you can go crazy. And then guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to use my Fifth Amendment and I'm going to shut up and I'm going to let you do whatever the hell you got to do. If you have a warrant, then you invoke your Fifth Amendment and shut your fucking mouth. Don't say it. Don't even ask them what time it is. Just shut up. Doesn't matter. Just shut up. All right. I think we got.
Indy Duckmel says silence is a trick from police. I studied it. Cop goes quiet and suspect will eventually say something and then boom, you're done.
Yep. That awkward silence. Tap your toad or whatever he's playing on the radio in the car. Just shut up. Oh, this also has to do with ICE.
This also has to do with ICE. The Third Amendment of the U.S. Constitution regarding quartering of soldiers. This one is pretty old timey, but no soldier shall in time of peace be quartered in any house without the consent of the owner, nor in time of war, but in a manner to be prescribed by law.
British people, this is literally because of you guys.
This is literally because of your king.
Because of your fucking redcoats, we had to add an amendment. Meaning your little dirty ass troops can't live in our house by order of the king.
We have a 5 British pound question. Why are we binners? And why the Bin podcast?
Super chat. We're called the Bin Podcast. Where's the logo at? Because every week we take the week's news out of the bin, give it a sort, and then we present it to you as a gift, like a feral cat bringing a cricket to you at your pillow. I brought this home for the house.
It's time to move on to everyone's favorite amendment. The second one.
Let's bring it.
The right to bear arms. Mikey, play me the explosive sound. God damn it, you're an embarrassment. Yeah. So, this is probably the most scrutinized amendment in American history. It reads as follows: a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed.
That's right, bitches.
Load
them if you got them.
There are so many Supreme Court cases about the wording of this amendment. It is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Because a well-regulated militia has been disputed, being necessary for the security of the free state has been disputed. The right of the people to keep and bear arms, that needed to be clarified. Shall not be infringed needed to be clarified. All of it. Every part of it has needed to be clarified by the Supreme Court.
I mean, I would love for us all to disarm and be peace-loving, hugging hippies. But that day ain't coming anytime soon. Keep him a Ford card. Keep him a kablammers. And when all the white supremacists are gone, I'll sell it, you know. But until that day, enter my domicile at your own risk.
So, if the Second Amendment is the most talked about amendment, I believe the First Amendment is probably the most important.
Let's give them something to talk about.
So, the First Amendment reads as follows: Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion. Pete Hegseth.
And also, King of England, get your Anglican fucking ideas the fuck out of here, dog. We don't do Anglican shit over here. You keep that shit over there, dog.
Or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech, or the freedom of press, or the right of people to peaceably assemble, or to petition the government for a redress of grievances. What about the First Amendment makes us snowflakes? I want to know that.
Bro, wipe your ass. Stop talking shit and wipe your butt, you nasty fuck. Wipe your dirty ass. Get a bidet. First of all, close the YouTube, go to Amazon, order a bidet because you don't wipe your ass properly. Get a bidet, clean your butthole up, and then you can comment some rude shit to us. I can't believe you got your pants around your ankles calling somebody else a snowflake. Boy.
hilarious. Anyway, this is the freedom of speech amendment. This is the freedom of the press amendment. This is the right to peaceably assemble and to petition government. So these are all the fundamental like free speech rights that we all get to have. And it protects us against government action, against us saying and doing things. Like, we talk a lot of shit on this podcast about the president, and there ain't a goddamn thing he can do about it.
We haven't broken any laws. This is kind of the atmosphere, like, and especially when there's like would-be dictators in the White House, they definitely abuse the First Amendment, to like rile people up, because there's certain things that are not covered in the First Amendment. You can't threaten people. That's not covered under the First Amendment. The government can shut that up. Oh, and that's the other thing I was going to say. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter are not the government. It says Congress shall make no law respecting and establishing a religion or prohibiting it. Like, so Congress, the government can't stop you from talking. They can't shut you up.
Right.
Twitch and Twitter and YouTube and all them, Facebook, they're private companies. They can do whatever the hell they want. So when someone fucking blocks your post, my First Amendment right, no company is entrusted with preserving your First Amendment.
In fact, they have terms of service to do all that shit.
It's literally right there on the front page. You can't do X, Y, and Z on my platform. You can't be like, government, they're not doing the thing. They don't have to. Like our side chat. You don't have a First Amendment right in our side chat. I can delete anyone's fucking comment I want. And there's nothing anyone can do.
And in fact, we've empowered other people to do that for us. So
you're right. Our bureaucracy grows.
But like Pete Hegseth can spout all the fake fucking Bible verses he wants from Pulp Fiction. And we don't have to, the military shouldn't have an established religion. And that was brought up in his hearing. I forget which senator brought it up, but they were like, why are you a fucking Christian nationalist? And they didn't say it in those words, but they were dancing around the subject. Like, why are you a fucking white supremacist and a Christian nationalist? Like, that shouldn't be in the military. And Pete Hegseth was like, well, the clip I'm going to take out of this episode actually is when he said that when generals were talking about diversity as our strength is the biggest crock of shit ever. Like, Pete Hegseth literally believes in white supremacy and literally believes in Christian nationalism. And he's trying to instill that into the military. And when the senator asked him, what about other religions? He avoided the question.
Right.
Like, it's crazy, and it's against the First Amendment. The military shouldn't have a religion. The country shouldn't have a religion. That's literally what it says. It's like the first part of it.
And like, while it's like not putting one religion out in front of everything, it's also, you need to leave people alone.
Yeah.
Like, a few years back, they were trying to they were at town hall and they were trying to get a permit for a mosque, because the only mosque was like 2 towns over, and it would take like an hour and a half to get there, because you have to go through like the normal road with all the fucking traffic lights. There's no way to get on the highway and get there quickly.
Right.
So they raised a bunch of money, and then they were trying to get their permit, and people were just like, with the cars they're parking in the evening, the headlights, it might shine into my house. Or, I mean, I don't live on that street, but it could shine the headlights into a house. They're like, we'll put up a privacy fence. So we don't shine lights in there. At least halfway up, so you don't get blind. Well, there could be like extra traffic, and we might need like an extra police officer or a stoplight to. No, we plan on like 30 or 40 people coming at a time, so I don't think that'll be. Well, there is like, everyone had a problem. They could always find some problem for why this mosque shouldn't be built. It got built. And then they acted like, I don't know why everybody called the news and acted like we were trying to stop the Muslims from. There's like 3,000 churches in my town. Let them have a damn mosque so they don't have to drive 90 minutes to pray, okay? I don't believe what they're praying in, but I do believe in not driving 90 minutes for it. I think that's fucked up. I don't like that.
And I think that when they wrote this amendment, they made a clear distinction that Congress shall make no law respecting any establishment of religion, but you can also not prohibit the free exercise of religion.
And that goes for atheists too.
Right.
It means leave us alone. We don't want to have to celebrate any of your shit.
The government can't stop you from your crazy spaghetti monster religions. Was it Pastafarians? You can't. They can't tell you can't do that.
His holy noodly appendage.
But that concludes our series on the constitutional amendments. And
I did football. I don't know why.
we can now move on next time to the constitutional articles, the articles of the Constitution,
and then the structure.
And then this. I mean, we could go through the Federalist Papers. Some of those are crazy, but you know.
Is this people dancing? Oh, I'm not gonna do this. Probably got music.
But I do have to go. So to everyone in the chat who helped me hold down the fort while Mikey was away, thank you.
Thanks, guys. I just seen a thing coming across the timeline here. Did you know Ziggy Marley is the one who sang the Arthur theme song?
I did not. Yo, what's with the weird compilation of people that Arthur brought together? Why do Ziggy Marley...
Steven Crowder is the only anomaly there. It is only him.
Like, you know, that's like some weird 6 degrees of separation shit, right? Where Steven Crowder and Ziggy Marley work on the same fucking show.
That is weird. But I mean, he was a normal kid, and then he's like, and now I'm big and I don't want to learn anymore. So I'm gonna bully. I'm just gonna start bullying stuff.
All right. Mikey, good luck. I will see you all later.
Well, I think I'm gonna skedaddle all night. You guys are gonna see me tonight.
Yeah. So
you guys are gonna see me tonight. I got chores
hit the button,
to do.
and we will see you on. Well, Mikey will see you on Unboxed. I don't know if I'll be there, but
what?
Some people will be on Unboxed.
Here we go. Here we go.
Bye. Oh,
Bye.
don't forget to drink your me.